isn't that? Okay, it is. And then we are recording here. Blah, blah, blah. We're good. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Core. That's right. Talking video games, the industry at large, and what we're playing. I'm Scott Johnson with with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger.
Hi,
I mixed
here.
John and Bo, and I made Joe. So there's that. Well done, Scott.
That would be our band name if we did an amalgam of John and Bo. It'd be Joe.
Joe, the JoJo Band. I'd go your concert. Do you play in a big venue, or are you just a little coffee shop kind of band? Like, what's your? I
think it would just be an awkward two guys when John would just talk and I just plunk on my ukulele and it would it would sound bad, but that would be the point. Everyone would be like, "Oh, you don't get it, man."
Yeah,
there's a deep artistic resonance here in the cacophony of cacophony.
Which is it? You got to listen to the cacophony, man.
It's our number one single,
message.
Cacophony.
Cacophone. Yeah, when did that cacophone come up before? That's an old thing.
That's a long time ago. I said it like in 2016 or
was
17.
it here? It was on Core? Probably?
Yeah, it was here.
Okay.
It was here. I said cacophony and you guys laughed.
I'm laughing
It
again.
was cacophony and yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's right, because that was around the skeletal time and everything. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like cacophony probably is like a telephony, like telephony, like but it's a phone made of shit.
Yeah.
Cacophone. Cacophony. Cacophony.
Nice. Phone made of shit. Welcome, everybody, to the show. We're going to do this thing that we do all the time. We're going to talk about a bunch of video game stuff. I'm in a pretty good mood because I had a really good pizza earlier. And for whatever reason, that's lasted the whole day for me. So high hopes that I won't be hungry by the time the show ends because I ate this pizza earlier.
What kind of toppings?
It was real basic. It's just your pepperoni cheese business, but there was something about the configuration of this thing was fantastic. Just
there was
perfect.
Something special sprinkled on top.
Yeah, so someplace downtown I've never heard of. Kim picked it up on her way home yesterday, and it wasn't even it's like a day old. This pizza, it's been in the fridge, and even cold, it was good. I don't know what's going on. It was very good. I don't remember the name of the place. Oh, Litza's Pizza. That's it. Litza. Litza. It's downtown.
Like
it's
1337's Pizza.
Yeah, it's Leet Pizza for hackers only. No, it's like down in Salt Lake City, and it's everyone down there loves it. I just have never been, and she brought home like half of one. And
is it like the Mona Lisa?
Yeah, the Mona Lisa. She's also Leet, and she has Leet skills. All right, let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and argue that it's a relatively slow news week in the world of video games.
Why? Because we have 3 stories. One's barely a story, and they're all about Bethesda games.
Well,
yeah, and they aren't headlines involving sexual predators as well.
Right.
They're not doing that stuff. There's like 50 other. Now that Blizzard's done it, every other company's copycatting. I saw RuneScape Composer was one of them. Like we're not covering that stuff.
No, we're not. But there's a lot.
We're not
more.
taking on that thing. So.
I suspected that was going to happen, though, right? Like you crack open that bottle, and then it all kind of comes flooding out. It'll be like the Me Too movement a bit, and then it'll
like
be
the shitty Me Too movement.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're both shitty.
Me too. I'm a fan, so as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know.
oh my God.
What I hope at the end of it all is just some people are held to account, and life gets better for a whole bunch of people, and that would be good. So here's the deal. It's also Quakecon week. So Quakecon is happening, which used to be a thing I'd really get into and watch. Like back in my early Quake days, I couldn't get enough of things like Quake, Quake 2, Quake 3, Quakecon, anything to do with Quake back in the old id Software days, long before they sold everything to ZeniMax and Bethesda and all that. They were still this like indie rock star awesome thing, and they were making these amazing games, and I always thought that stuff was really cool. I never got to go to one, but people would travel to Dallas, take their freaking rigs, and go to like giant LAN parties at this event. It was nuts.
Drink a lot of balls. That's what I remember.
Balls? What's balls? Is that a drink?
Remember balls?
Nope.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
That's what I associate most with QuakeCon, was people drinking balls.
What? Oh, BAWLS. Balls Garena.
And a different con.
Ultra caffeinated beverage, it says. Why is this news to me? I've never heard of this.
You never heard about balls, Scott?
No, this is new.
It's the choice drink of Quakecon attendees through definitely the early thousands.
Wow.
Oh.
They're still kicking it. It says choose your own. No, I'm sorry. Let me see. Okay. The bottle that started it all. I'm trying to find some cool, more fun.
That's what
the website says. Stay at home, drink balls. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
There you go. Stay home, drink balls. Stock up on all your favorite Balls Garena products while... Okay, it went too fast. I lost it. And then it tells you all the places you can buy it, and they are very video gamey, looks like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we sold them when I worked at CompUSA.
Okay.
Many a time in the warehouse did I have to unload a pallet of balls. And always a few broke, and everything became very sticky.
So... Oh, is it? So they're ultra sugary too, I'm guessing, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also back then there was only one flavor. Look at all these fancy flavors.
Oh, they've got
back
so
in my
many.
day there was only one flavor of balls, and it wasn't very good.
Yeah. They have can versions, but the can versions are painted to look like there's bottles in the cans. That's odd.
Yeah, because I think the texture of the can, of the bottle, is important. They've got little bumps on them.
Oh, yeah. They're ribbed for your pleasure, these balls.
Yeah.
Or these little balls on the balls. Yeah. All right. I don't know why I'd never heard of this. This kind of actually makes me feel like I'm dumb because this is usually a thing I'm cued in on, or at least know about, like green fuel or no gamer fuel or those weird Halo drinks you could get back in the early Halo days.
Yeah. Remember when it was just a can that said energy on it?
Yeah, that was
That's just what you bought? I don't even know what brand that was. I don't know who made it. You just grabbed a can that said energy and you purchased it.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was Jolt.
Yeah, Jolt was almost like basically outlawed in my house. My parents were super hardcore on the anti-Jolt at the time because they didn't want their kids to be spazzes. But I remember having my first Jolt and it not really doing anything much to me. So
yeah,
I was like,
it was a real letdown.
That's a real
for
bummer.
Something that had mythos around it. It didn't do a lot.
Which made me it was a bit of understanding finally how mythos sells things. The fact that it was forbidden fruit is what probably made Jolt so popular in the first place. Because otherwise, it wasn't that good. It was okay. But anyway, the point is they're having QuakeCon, and that means Quake stuff. But not just Quake stuff. All the Bethesda stuff gets talked about. Their sales on Steam and other places where you can get all kinds of crazy stuff. The one that jumped out to me, and I actually acted on this immediately when I saw it and played it, was Quake Remaster was officially revealed. Is out now on PC and consoles. If you already own Quake, the 4x3 ass-looking old Quake.
If you already own Quake.
If you already own Quake, it just converts to the remaster. So that's nice. I didn't have to pay for anything. It's just there. And fired that thing up, downloaded it, got the update. And you know what's great is Quake. Quake is great, by the way. A lot of shooters have learned from Quake and probably mechanically do things better than Quake did, Quake 1. Including other Quakes, perhaps. But there's something awesome about Quake 1, man. It is such a cool game. It has such an amazing soundtrack. Oh, that's the other thing. The original OG 9 Inch Nail soundtrack. Or it wasn't 9 Inch Nails, but it was, what's his name? Can't think of his name. Guy does movies now.
Trent Reznor.
Trent Reznor. That's the guy. I knew you'd know because you're a big music guy. Of course you know.
Yeah. I got it. Sure.
Yes.
I'm a music man. I know it all.
You get a little Reznor.
You play the guitar. You'll know the answer to this question.
You're not wrong, though.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so they put that soundtrack back in, which was out for a long time because of some licensing issues. But that's back in there. The game's 4K, run it at widescreen, unlimited frame rate, blah, blah, blah. I don't even have like the mod on there where it like the way the voodoo cards used to turn Quake into a better looking game or whatever. I just have that off. It's just the pixel art, but running at all those high frame rates on that, resolution and everything, it looks amazing. It looks amazing for what it is. I mean, it's not like, cutting edge new looking stuff, but as a throwback, it looks incredible in this form. Anyway, really cool. And I played a bunch of that. And the single shot shotgun sucks. And the double barrel is good. The grenade launcher is life. And the rocket launcher still rad, although it does look like a penis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So there's that. And I will never forget. You guys, this is a little thing. Come with me down memory lane just for a moment. But when I played Quake 1, and I played it to death. First I played the demo, and we had that at this place I worked, and we played it on the LAN every night when stuff closed down. We'd stay there for hours and hours and hours playing this one freaking level demo that game was pushed out on like Usenet at the time. We did the same thing for Doom, but it was even a bigger jump for Quake. So we're playing that all night, loving it, all great. Then it comes out, played it to death, did all the mods. We made custom skins that looked like us, looked like the boss's wife, all kinds of gnarly stuff. At one point we had who's the really tatted up singer from the 70s and 80s? He used to play with oh geez, my brain can't work with names tonight.
Tatted up singer from the 60s and 70s?
No, 70s and 80s. Like
Iggy Pop?
Oh, yes, City and Bernadette Peters. That's not it. Hold on. He's like a big, hefty dude. He's in all sorts of stuff now. Strong.
Meatloaf?
No, but that era-ish. I can't think of his name. He played for, not Bauhaus, the other band. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This guy, he always was shirtless and had tons of tats. Not Elvis. The chat room is not helping. All right, anyway, whatever his name was. We'd put his body skin, because someone made a skin that was his body. And so it's all the tattoos and muscles and everything. We'd put that on the guy. Henry Rollins, that's it. Henry Rollins.
How did you describe him? I was thinking metal or something. You meant like he's a punk rocker,
he's
right?
like punk, Black Flag. Yeah, oh yeah, Black Flag is the band. Like that. Yeah, anyway, and he's all angry and stuff. But anyway, we do that, and then for the head texture, we remove that and we put the texture of I don't remember her name, but the boss's wife. Oh, Cindy was her name. And we hated Cindy. Cindy was a tyrant. She was really mean. Nobody liked Cindy. So it was Henry Rollins' naked upper torso with Cindy's face, and from some photo somebody took. And then we just played deathmatch all night, team deathmatch. It was amazing. And then I remember this one time, this guy named Marshall, okay? He's this. You've heard this story before. Where I told you about Marshall ate a whole box of Twinkies that had mayonnaise squirted into the stuff instead of the stuff that's in the Twinkie normally, and he loved them. He thought they were great. Yeah. It was a big practical joke. It was even on April Fool's Day that we did this, and he still ate every Twinkie and asked for more. Great big huge guy named Marshall. A whole other story about him spending all his money in Vegas on lap dances. It's a whole thing I can tell you. But here's the prescient story that we want to get to. Yeah, Marshall was nuts.
Living that life.
He was a different dude. Anyway, we played Quake, and Marshall was on the blue team. And the way it was set up is whoever started the game kind of had some command codes you could mess with. And it's just an old DOS LAN game, right? Lots of command line stuff. And we had a blue team and a red team. And this was all kind of a new idea back then. And he'd be on blue team, we'd be on red, and he'd have the rest of his teammates. I would slowly throughout the game, when he was alone, I would convert another player to red just with a command line. So I'd say, this guy that's, on his team is now on red. And we were all in on it except for Marshall. So he's getting annihilated and seeing less and less of his teammates and more red guys. But got to remember, back in the Quake days, they didn't have a name above you. They didn't know who you were. It's just another guy whose Henry Rollins tattoos were blue instead of red. And by the end of this game, we had converted everybody to red. He's the only one that's on blue. The game doesn't do friendly fire, so every hit that hits him is killing him, and anything he's doing is hardly touching us because there's so many of us now. So it's like 10 on 1 or whatever the numbers were.
Oh my God.
It took another hour and a half or maybe 2 hours of playing for him to figure it out, and he was so pissed. He was so pissed that I witnessed him.
That's what did it? It wasn't the mayonnaise Twinkies.
No. I witnessed him going in the back of the warehouse place where we built computers, and I watched him snap a motherboard over his knee. And
wow.
And he ended up bleeding all over the place because, the backside of motherboards have the pokey, soldering bits and stuff. Anyway, it was a hell of a thing. I never forgot it. So my point is, Quake, in my blood, in lots of ways, culturally. Yeah, my memories are filled with good Quake feelings and stuff. So now this thing's out, and it's great. And not only that, it's cross-play. So I played a game today that included a bunch of us on PC and Steam, some PlayStation 4 players, Xbox One players, and I saw a guy on his Switch in there playing.
Oh, it's playable on Switch? That's crazy.
Yeah. It's also on Game Pass.
I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's on Game Pass, which makes sense because that's, now a Microsoft product. But PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are coming soon.
About that because it would make sense to be on Game Pass.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
see it though. Is it on PC Game Pass?
I believe so, yes. I didn't verify that because I already owned it on Steam, so I got it there. But it's all cross-platform, and it's not like, oh, hey, here's a bunch of new modes or anything. It's all of the expansions, the original story, plus some new one that no one's ever played before, all in the single player. And in the multiplayer, it's server, like a server list, kind of like Deep Rock Galactic, where you go look and see who's playing and then get in. Or you can just do regular matchmaking in there. That works fine. So there's a couple other ways to play it, but you could be playing, some dude on his console, whatever, where I will own that fool because Quake needs a mouse and keyboard, man. I'm telling you. Anyway, hell of a thing. Really good. I burped. What else? Oh, the thing I wanted to mention, it also comes with this new expansion. I forgot the name of it, but it's created by Machine Games. They're the ones that did Wolfenstein: The New Order. A recent new game, and you can tell it. I played a bit of it, and it feels like a proper
Quake 1 expansion they made.
It's the one in here that wasn't already an expansion from a previous Quake release. Like there's 3. I want to say there are 3 that were like retail things you would go buy in the late 90s, early aughts, and then this 4th thing is this thing they've made for this. So. Anyway, it's all there. It's all just part of the package. If you already own Quake, you just have it. If you don't own it, it's cheap. And if you have it on Game Pass, you just have it. It's awesome. I just wanted to... It's almost like a game review here, but it's just really cool that even happened. It popped out of nowhere. I didn't expect it. I also forgot how cool the lighting in that game is. Like, software-based lighting, like back in the freaking Stone Ages of 3D games, man. So cool. So rad. All right. What else? Oh, Skyrim's getting another re-release. Who would have guessed? Who would have thought?
Nobody.
Yeah.
What a crazy notion.
Yeah.
Skyrim,
is that like
coming
the
back.
15th re-release now?
Well, let's see.
Well,
We could probably come up with the number here. So releases, you got PC, PlayStation 3.
you're not even going to look at the list.
Oh, is there a list?
Well, I'm sure there's a list. There's got to be a list, right?
Oh, yeah,
Is
I
it
could
going to
look it
include the Amazon Echo version?
There was no Echo version.
Was. They did it. It was a joke, and then they actually released it.
Oh, right. I remember now. And you could talk to it and tell it to go left or right. It was like Zork, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb. But I love it. Let's see. Here we go. Development, reception. Okay, I'm trying to find... here we go. Marketing and release. All right. Oh, they don't just have a list. That's too bad. Okay, here we go. PC, PS3, Xbox 360, then PC again for the special edition. PlayStation 4, Xbox One. What's the NS? Oh, Nintendo Switch. Okay, so it's on the Switch. They don't even mention the VR version here.
Yeah.
What else? There was one other version.
I found this list on thegamer.com. It's saying there was a special edition of Skyrim for the Amazon Echo that has no graphics.
Yeah, that was the one John was just talking about.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm sorry, John.
That's fine.
Yeah, it was like a joke.
I was studying while you were talking.
I'm just happy to have a second acknowledgement that the Amazon Echo version is real.
Yeah, I'm convinced now because both of you said it, and now I know it's true. But yeah, like it was more of a joke, but it played like Zork, so you could tell it to turn left or go north or whatever.
Oh God,
I know, it sounds terrible, right? I don't think it was like a full blown thing, but
I mean, if they can make it text, they just cut out the traveling and stuff. I think you can make a good audio only game. I don't want to poo-poo that idea, but not Skyrim.
Well, it's coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and one would assume Game Pass.
It's very good though. It's a very good game.
Well, it's an amazing
game experience.
Yeah, it's an incredible game. You can also fish in the new game, which is something you can do in Elder Scrolls Online. But previous to this, there was no fishing in any Elder Scrolls games. And this game was now going to retroactively have fishing in it for these new versions.
They
So.
made the game a little worse. I gotta say. I mean, fishing is like one of the I guess every game ever assumes there are people that like fishing, but I know very few. I've never logged on to Discord with some people I've never played games with before, and they're like, "Man, I like fishing. Do you like fishing?" And it's like, no one's. I don't meet these fisher people that like fishing. Like, I feel like the only people who should really like fishing are people who would also fish in real life. Like, I used to like skateboarding, so I'd like playing skateboarding games. Like, I'll fish a couple of times.
Yeah.
I don't want to fish thousands of times and fill up your stupid fishing skill bar. Is there a bunch of programmers that like fishing that have this sense that people who play want to do? We could just, if you stop making fishing in all games going forward, gaming would be better for it, and no one would really care except a handful of people who really like fishing that want fishing in there. I swear to God, I don't know why people do fishing.
It is true. It is in most video games.
Yeah, video
I
games.
have fishing beef. Yes, I think fishing is like the
beef.
worst thing to happen to video games, unless it's you're playing Super Bass or some sort of outdoors game. Like, I don't need fishing in Zelda and Final Fantasy, man. Like, or
Well, let me ask you.
or even in Sea of Thieves. Like, you could. I don't need.
I like that your first two examples, though. I was like, yeah, but I liked the fishing in that.
Yeah.
It's just it's not like it's in one game. It's like every game. They're like,
It's every
get
game.
two programmers, go off and make a
Zelda,
fishing thing, and we can do that as a value add.
The Breath of
Nobody
Fire
likes
series.
it. Don't make it.
Yeah.
Just don't make it.
Okay, well, let
what
me
was
ask.
that Diablo knockoff. That game had fishing in it. Torchlight.
Something stone. No.
Torchlight.
Yeah, you have
It had
fishing
a
in
fishing.
Torchlight. I had a pretty good
Hades
fishing
has
mechanic.
fishing in it.
Oh,
What
that's
does?
right. It does. Hades has fishing.
Yeah, like everyone's just like, you know what this game needs? It's fishing. It's like putting salt in everything. Like sometimes you don't need salt.
Well,
You don't
okay.
need to
Let
put
me
salt in it,
ask
like-
you a question. If you were playing a game and you're super into the crafting aspect of whatever game, let's say it's an RPG like Skyrim, make part of the cooking thing. It makes sense you would have a fishing thing, just like killing a deer is going to give you meat or game, just like shooting a bird out of the sky is going to give you some poultry. Why not, throw your line in the water and get some fish for your fish cooking, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a tough audience, but I think we're all going to find agreement. I know you're not big on crafting either. I mean, I could do
not
that
really.
crafting.
Yeah.
And,
I tried.
yeah.
I'll
If it's
tell
a
you who
game
we're
about
losing.
crafting,
We're losing
great.
Kyle because Kyle is big on the fishing. At
He
least
likes
in
the
WoW.
fishing. Oh, I want to hear him. I want to hear him justify that behavior. He really likes
Look,
it.
I'll be a quasi fishing apologist. I like it in a few games. It's cool in Final Fantasy.
What do you do there that makes it cool? What do you like?
They have a thing called fishing expeditions where
Mhm.
you go out, like it's a set time, everybody gets on a big yacht and you go out into the middle of the ocean and have a big fishing thing all together. It's fine.
So
It's fine. It's just a fun, it's a fun escape from you're in the middle of a grind. Like, I think fishing works better in MMOs than like Zelda. There is something weird about like, oh, I'm playing Zelda and now I'm gonna go do a side fishing game for a while.
Yeah.
But when you're in a game that is about like doing quests and grinding and it's a long form game, I think to me there's nothing wrong with, okay, here's something else you can go do instead that's kind of natural in the places you're going to be anyway.
Yeah.
But I do think that it can turn bad. Like, I've certainly experienced the dark side of that with like WoW, where it's like, hey, but what if you fished up a bunch of coins from a fountain? And it's like, well, man, now they made an achievement, and now there's this thing around it, and I don't know if I like it.
Don't they? Isn't there a fishing raid?
Kind of.
They used to have tournaments in WoW,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if it still goes on, but they used to have that Stranglethorn fishing tournament.
The only way I can sort of understand it is like when in BDO you can milk cows, and so they have these pictures of udders with milk in it, and you have to squeeze them one at a time like this. And like there's a rhythm balance, and I'm like, I kind of enjoyed that, so I could see like if all games had milk and cow udders in it, and maybe I was like, where's the milk and cow udders? Like I'd be like, because I kind of enjoyed that. I was like, this is kind of a fun little mini game.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this:
fishing is a bunch of waiting.
It is.
It's wait.
It's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of sitting around doing nothing. But can you explain the cow mechanics? Like, is it like a dual stick?
So there's a cow, and like basically when you go down to grab the udders and you put the pail under it to get the milk, there's these two sacks, like udder sacks, that show up on the screen. They're filled with milk.
Yeah.
And you've got to gently squeeze one at a time. If you go too fast, they turn red and then you fail. And if you go too slow, then the cow moves and you also fail. So you got to squeeze, and then the milk drains out. This white liquid drains out into the thing. And then if you do that properly, at the end of the mini game, you have a bucket of milk. just like milking real cows, I assume.
Yeah, but what do you use it for?
Cooking. It's
Oh,
milk.
it's part of
fresh milk.
crafting.
Okay, so it's for the cooking.
Yeah.
So it's like, but like
profession.
the thing I like about it is I'm doing something. I'm like active. I guess for me, fishing is like, let me cast it and let me wait. How long? A minute? 5 minutes? Like, let me wait, and then just click a button, and then have maybe a little mini game of timing a button click. It's just, I'm like in the 10 minutes that I spent, I could have done like 3 quests, or could have done some meaningful game experience. I really hate fishing.
I think you just landed on the reason why they do it, though. You want to talk about an easy mini game?
Yeah.
Click a button.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay. Oh, jiggle, pull button. Yep.
Get a thing.
You're right. I don't like most of those mechanics. I've had a few games, and I couldn't tell you what they even were right now because I can't remember them, but where the fishing was just, there's a fishing hole, throw your stick in it. As soon as you do, it goes bling, bling, and you pull out fish. There's no like weird mechanic to tap it in a certain time or make it, like the what's it called? The one in Stardew Valley where you got to maintain that little.
Oh, yeah.
I freaking hate that.
The more they gamify it, the more I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, to be clear.
Yeah. I don't like
I
that
think
at
the
all.
the thing is I have trouble with is I can't one-to-one it. Like, I know a lot of people who like cooking. A lot of people who have been military service or just into guns. There's Call of Duty. Like, there are a lot of people that like skateboarding, basketball, football, and they have a video game. And then even if you just watch it, you're still playing it. I don't know a lot of people who are actually into real life fishing. Like, that's like, I see people fishing even here, but it's very few. It's like 1 or 2 fishing on the lake near my house. I don't see a lot of people that are into fishing, or just like, I just watch fishing on TV and play it in video game. Like, it's just, and then it's in every game. It's not like it's in a couple of games. It's like you might have milking cows in like 1 or 2 games, or you might have, I don't know. It's fishing. Just why?
It's weird, right?
Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop. I'm in rant territory.
It's okay. Here's an example where they did an amazing job of representing it, but I still only did it once and didn't hope to ever do it again. But I was impressed while I did it because I was like, wow, they really went all in. And that was Red Dead Redemption 2. The fishing in that game, from a technical standpoint, felt like fish-ass fishing, like really fishing. And it helped that the world was, gorgeous and super immersive, but also the fishing itself and the way you controlled that fishing felt like real fishing. The fish looked like a real fish. It didn't look like some fake mini game. But I still didn't want to keep doing it. I still didn't want to go, I'm gonna spend all day fishing in here. I just wanted to get out.
My favorite memory of fishing in video games was Breath of Fire 2, and I don't remember why I felt that I needed to do it. I just remember back in the day, like, somebody told me, they're like, no, you got to fish.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And I remember just spending a lot of time listening to this little happy, jaunty tune that played whenever you were doing the fishing minigame. And I know you could fish up, like, treasure chests and stuff like that, so that was kind of fun, because it wasn't always fish. I think it was a way to get money. It's probably what it was. Like a get rich quick in the game scheme. Like, hey, do you want to trivialize money? Fish. And I did. Yeah. And that was the answer.
They always have to put you always have to put rare finds in your fantasy games and fishing, right? You could always fish up an Excalibur, maybe.
Yep. Get it.
Yeah. But what's disappointing is that none of these games ever fulfill that promise. It's either too much RNG and it takes too long, or you think you might fish up something cool, but you just never do, and then you regret ever doing it. Like fishing, you know what, Bo?
It's bad gameplay. I'm sorry, everyone.
I'm with you.
Make a fishing game if you're into fishing. Do fishing right. I'm all for fishing.
And those exist. But those are things.
Go put them in your game that's about other shit. It's really shit content. I'm sorry. No, people aren't going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that it's shit content that you're degrading.
Or okay, if you're going to give me like a little farmer community simulator, Stardew Valley kind of business, let me just throw my line in the water and immediately pull it out with a fish on it. Like, make the mechanic just quick.
Like, it's a fantasy game. Just gamify it.
Yeah.
Put it in. Put it out. Okay, put it
Exactly.
Put it. Yeah.
Exactly. Make it actually fun. Like any other kill or any other thing you do with a one shot. Make it feel like that. We're good. I don't want to sit there and go, did it bob? I think I heard it. Did it bob? I didn't see it. Did it? Oh, shit, I missed it.
It's like Diablo, but fishing. They're just like... You got 15 fishing rods and just going...
There was a cool indie game a couple years ago called... Shoot, there's two of them now. Something. But your weapon was a fishing pole. You never fished with it though. You just used it to like cast to the island that was too far for you to walk to or swim to, and it would pull you over there. It was almost, it would act like a I don't know, what a grappling hook, I guess, like a retractable grappling hook, and you would fight monsters with it and trap them and do like CC with it and stuff. I can't remember the name of that game, and I wish I could because it's super recommendable. But it was cool. So somebody once in a while will go, "Hey, what if it was a fishing game without any actual fishing?" I'm down with those too. That's a creative use of your fishing idea. But if you're just going to have me stand by a pool where there's some stuff flopping around, I'm like, oh, that's probably a fishing hole. And I throw a thing in there and wonder half the time if I'm even near the fish. At least with it, like Animal Crossing, you see the thing, like the little black turd shape moving in there, and you throw your line where you think it's going to be. So the game has a little bit of like, I don't know, you have to be smart about placement. But once you do, you're pretty much guaranteed the fish will bite and you'll get it.
Well, there you go. That's a reason why I like fishing in Final Fantasy. There's no like special pool. Like if there's water, you fish.
Yeah, there you go. That's a better thing.
That's all there is to it. You don't have to go looking for a special little pool here. Now, different pools have different fish. Also, I think I just like it because honestly, there's just a pet I want from fishing. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it's just the right incentive, and that's all it needs.
I know I'm railing about it, but like, to rationalize it. I mean, it's an activity people like. You sit there.
Oh no, I think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
I agree with everything Bo said.
Yeah.
And I hope they put fishing in every game from here on out, just to continue to let him feel the way he feels.
To pile on here, if I'm a wizard man in a game where I can conjure giant, someone mentioned this in the chat too, like a giant flaming boulder from space. Let me get.
Why don't I just cast raise fish and lift all the fish out of the water?
Right. Have that just go gaboosh and 100
some fantasy
fish.
Game, you guys. Jeez.
Yeah. That's
well, I think they worry about collateral damage because you don't want to do that unless it's on purpose.
Oh, I see. Oh, geez. Okay. Now we've wandered into the alleyway where everyone dies. This is a bad place to be. Let's get out of here. There's also this news about Skyrim's treasure foxes. This came out that it was a complete accident, according to the dev, and became an unintentional phenomenon. So for people who don't remember how that worked, there were these foxes that were leading players to treasure in the game. And I remember those, and I remember thinking, what a weird little mechanic, but that's kind of cool. These foxes know where the treasure is. I guess I'll follow them to the treasure and get it because this fox told me where to go. That's not what happened. Or what not? That's,
I mean, it is what happened, but
right.
They didn't sit down and go, hey guys, let's do environmental gameplay and make foxes the way you find treasure in our game.
Yeah.
It just coincidentally, based on how they program the AI, wound up being true. I didn't even know this was true about the foxes. So this was like a double story for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is news to me in this second.
Yeah.
I didn't know that foxes would lead you to treasure in Skyrim.
Yeah.
So I was already excited, and then I found out it was a happy accident, and that was interesting on its own as well.
Yeah.
I think this is cool. I think more developers should look at this and do cool stuff like this in their game, because I haven't wanted to touch Skyrim in a while, and as soon as I found out foxes led you to treasure, I was like, well, I'm glad they're getting a re-release, because man, now I want to play some Skyrim again.
Yeah, I actually now, knowing it'll be on Game Pass and knowing I don't have to think about it too much when it comes out, I probably will crack this open again and maybe do a fresh run. But it says here, so here's the story. The mystery of the Skyrim foxes seemingly led players to treasures has been explained by former dev Joel Burgess in a Twitter thread. Not a feature intentionally implemented. The foxes appear to guide players to hidden rewards due to the game's nav mesh, a 3D sheet of polygons overlaid on the environment that directs the paths of the AI. So according to Burgess's explanation, Skyrim foxes had a very simple AI. They were programmed to only flee away when encountered. So why would they flee towards areas of treasure? It's because sites where treasures were hidden, like campsites and ruins, contain more complex triangles and vertices than wilderness locations. So if a fox is programmed to flee 100 triangles, then it would gravitate toward running toward areas with lots of those triangles, which tended to be aforementioned areas of complexity like ruins and camps. So in other words, they weren't leading you to anything. They were just doing their natural behavior, which is go where all the nodes are, and the nodes just happen to be the place where all the shit was. It's great. It's great.
Is it a reliable thing? Like, what happens if you get in the game, chase a fox around for 5 hours?
I've done it.
This is worse than fishing.
I used to do it, and every time I'd find one and follow it, they'd take me to treasure. I thought, but it's because of this. It was a natural side effect of just, cheap AI concepts and pathing. Like, it's crazy. I absolutely love it, though. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, this sort of stuff is so cool, and the video games are full of things like this. The one I always think about is back in the early days of EverQuest, before the game had maps, and it was just, looking around.
Mm-hmm.
People used to throw swords on the ground in order to tell which direction it was, because swords always pointed to north-south.
That's great. That's great.
So part of being an adventurer was you would carry around a sword just so you could go bloop and throw it on the ground and then go, okay, I now know the directions.
That's great, dude.
Like, it's nuts. And that's such a weird, cool thing. And obviously I'm glad that, we got to a place where most video games have maps, but it's also neat to think about a time when that wasn't the case and you could actually really get lost in these worlds.
Yeah, I agree.
There is something to be said about too much UI taking away the magic of discovery in a game, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fine thread to needle, or needle to thread. Yeah, no.
You just have to understand what your game is trying to do. If you're making if it's an exploration game, you don't want that. But if it's an ARPG, you want the maps. You don't.
Yeah, and I need I've been playing Guild Wars 2 again. I'll get to it later in more detail, but that game's pretty good about saying here's where you generally need to go to do a thing. But it doesn't hold your hand too much when you get there. You kind of still have to go, all right, well, would I hide in the bushes? Oh, yeah, I would. And there he is. Like, it's not just an arrow pointing at the ground where you need to stand. And there's
especially when you get into that mode where you feel like I look at the mini map more than I look at the graphics of the game. Like, that's when you know there's a problem. And that's happened in games before.
Oh, absolutely.
I hate it.
Yeah, I don't like that feeling. The feeling is bad. It's a bad feeling. That's pretty much it for what's going on. A lot of Skyrim, a lot of Quake. There's nothing else. But we would be remiss if we didn't take a moment here and enjoy a Dear Martha Steam review brought to you by John Jagger. John, anything special?
We got some special stuff today. So I actually have 3 reviews. These were all submitted by core listeners.
Oh.
So I kind of didn't know what to do about this because people started sending me Steam reviews.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I should treat it like if you're an author and you're like, oh, I only read what I found. And if you bring it to me, I'm not going to read it. And that sounded really presumptuous. So I just thought, well, okay, but what if I just did a time where every now and then, especially if I'm having a really rough day and I'm not finding anything, maybe I'll just do community ones. So I found 3 reviews that were sent to me via Discord. And we'll do those.
All right. Let's begin.
My dearest Martha, today I submit to you my review of Conquest of Elysium 5. Martha, you can quit to the main menu. Yours in this life and the next, Mace Swinger 2000.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's true. You can't quit to the main menu.
That one came from Raksha on Discord.
All right, Raksha.
Now, did they write it or they found it and sent it to you?
That one, I believe, was found and sent. This next one was written specifically so that they could have a Dear Martha read.
That's a pretty awful review, right?
Yeah,
it's not a good review.
It's a bad review. Well, let's hear this one then.
My dearest Martha, I present to you now a review for the game Loop Hero. Martha, I poured ketchup in my eyes last night. In hindsight, it was a bad idea. 5 out of 5 stars. Yours in this life and the next, Tweep.
All right, I know who Tweep is. Okay, hold on, Bo. You've heard of Heinz before.
That's my Pokemon Unite partner.
Yeah,
Tweep's been playing nonstop with me.
Oh yeah, Tweep's awesome. But his joke is a Heinz ketchup brand joke, and if they don't have Heinz up in Canada, that joke makes no sense.
We have Heinz up here.
Oh, you do? Okay, good. All right, we're safe.
We've got Well, I shouldn't say it.
Yeah, get it, chat room.
You know the thing about
Finds
ketchup,
site.
right? It's full of rat shit.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it's full of. Oh, did I ever tell you this?
We've got rat shit sauce up here too.
My mother-in-law went to a ketchup production place, and they told them there on this tour that you can have up to 7 full-sized flies in every bottle of ketchup, all ground up in there, before there's a problem. Like the limit is 7.
It's protein. It's fine.
No, it's not fine. It's horrible.
They gave us as kids in school a list of the acceptable amount of bug bits in food.
Flies are fine compared to rat shit. Rat shit actually makes you sick. Flies.
I don't want rat shit. I don't want any of it, to be honest. I'd like none of it, please.
Yeah,
all right.
The less
I'm
you know
Yeah.
is when it comes to food.
You're right.
It's just universally the better.
I agree. Ignorance is truly bliss in that case. All right, John, our third and final review.
My dearest Martha, I present to you now my review for Way of the Samurai 3. Martha, sole survivor on the battlefield, heavy injuries, and collapsed in front of 2 scavengers. They brought me back to their village and nursed me back to health. So far, so good. Then, I get scolded by my savior, the village head, for being a samurai. Okay. Agreed to help a woman cut her vegetables. She started throwing stone lanterns at me to test my skills. Tried to parry like an idiot, managed to cut gigantic leaks, but the sword now almost destroyed. Okay. Spoke to a man who offered me an idiom and threatened me for money. Okay. 2 obviously bad guys accosted a young woman, drew my sword and cut one of them down. The other kneeled and then ran away immediately. Woman turned out to be the game manual. Okay. Spoke to a feisty 80-year-old woman. Gave me a quest to find her undies. Okay. Spent the next 30 minutes looking for the save point, dude, because Strange Meter is full. In the process, I looted some dead bodies, ate a rotten rice ball, and got really lost. It is the best Sengoku Jidai simulator ever. I think I mispronounced that. That's fine. Yours in this life and the next, wrapped a mesh.
All right, wait a minute. So, what is this? Is this a real game? That's a
What game is this?
Yeah.
Way of the Samurai 3. And that came from Tentacle Time Eternal on Discord.
Nice. Well done, guys, with your homemade reviews.
Way of the Samurai.
Yeah, Way of the Samurai. I don't know that I've heard of that. Way of the Samurai.
Well, there's 4 of them as far as I can tell.
Oh, there are 4? Let's see. Way of the Samurai game series. Yeah, you're right.
3 was
4.
in 2016.
There's a spin-off called Samurai Western and Katana Kami, The Way of the Samurai Story.
Oh, these are kind of cool.
These are highly rated games set in 1877. A Ronin named Kenji, controlled by the player, arrives in an outpost, blah, blah, blah. Mostly Japanese releases, these games. But I guess there's stuff here too. All right, well, we learned something new about a new series along the way. Now this. Our week in games that we played. I mentioned earlier, actually, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change gears. Bo, we're starting with Pokemon Unite. We're doing Bo first.
Oh, man. Bo's going first.
Bo, first up today. Pokemon Unite.
Shit.
You're on a Unite vacation right now, right?
Well, yeah, so I'm on vacation from my day job. Sorry, I was just a little distracted when you said that. I saw this picture of a guy with looks like a toilet paper roll on his junk in that Way of the Samurai game.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just trying to copy it here. This is important.
No,
this
please
looks real
do.
wild.
Yeah, please do.
Hang on. All right, there you go. You see that thing there?
What the heck?
This really distracted me.
Oh, what the frick, dude? You weren't
That's
kidding.
a screen cap from Way of the Samurai, and I was just trying to figure out what that was. It kind of looks like it could be. I mean, I don't know.
Here you go.
Anyways,
I'll show it to
Japan.
the chat. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, show it to the chat room so they know that I'm not just
He's not
screwing
making
around
that
here
up,
and being
yeah.
distracted. I was
He's
like,
wearing
what?
what looks like a jock strap and a big PVC pipe out front.
Yeah.
Wow.
And anyways, yeah. All right. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Unite this week.
Now on to Pokemon Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that photo really distracted me. I mean, yeah, just the.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So, I think if there isn't anyone who probably doesn't know what it is, given that I've talked about it last week, it's a MOBA, it's Pokemon. It's on Switch only, going to be released on mobile in September, late September. It's cross-play, so it's not a different environment.
Yeah.
You could play interchangeably on both.
Yeah.
I have played, I think, 40 hours this week. I'm probably a couple hundred games in at this point.
Oh, man.
I've been going hard on the ranked ladder. I'm proud to say I'm at the Heroes equivalent of Diamond 2, so I'm 2 leagues away from Master at this point.
And now I was going to ask, how do you know all this? This is all part of the UI. It tells you what your rank is. Do MMR?
The UI is very bad compared to Heroes.
Yeah.
But yes, there is a standings rankings thing where you get to know what that is. So it basically has the same thing as Heroes. It's just different names, right? So copper, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, master.
Right.
In Pokemon, it's great, or it's beginner, great, expert, veteran, ultra, and master. And so I'm ultra 4, and so the max rank is ultra 5, and then you get to master. So I am close to master tier in Pokemon Unite, given that I've spent a lot of time. So I can answer a lot of questions about the game if you have them.
I do. I have questions about this ranking stuff. Is it like if you fall out of Ultra, same kind of thing as Heroes or other MMOs where your MMR dips and now you're in your
it's an elo. It's up and down. So you can definitely go down. You can definitely go up. There are protections in this game that you don't get in the other games. So it actually favors you climbing. I suspect they're going to do like a Hearthstone thing where the next season starts, everyone's back down to beginner and you got to race your way up somehow. They might do some sort of thing like Hearthstone 2 where you at least get some advantages based on your placement. But you get these tickets as a prize. Like right now I'm going to get 15,000 tickets. And the tickets are mainly for cosmetics, except one other important thing they do is they give you item enhancers. You can buy item enhancers, which is how you upgrade the held items you have in your hand. So like League of Legends and the rune system, you do have an outside of game customization on 3 held items, and it gets really expensive to level them up, and their benefits are tangible. So you'll want to have them, but you don't need to level them to 30. Getting them to 20 is enough. But
is that the gotcha thing? Do you feel like that's where they're trying to get your money?
Well, it's one of the gotcha things. I mean, you can convert EOS gems into tickets to buy the item enhancers.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they give out a lot, so you don't really need to. I've gotten 4 items now to level 20 without having to buy anything. So, and there are some items that are definitely bad. You'll want to watch some YouTube videos. It's a MOBA, so you'll want to be researching some of the stuff, especially in the case of Pokemon Unite. It's not as informative as the Heroes UI, so you do have do some out of game knowledge learning, but it's if you want to play ranked. I think if you're just playing the game, you can just kind of enjoy the game and have fun with it. It's sort of optional on that level, but if you're getting to try hard mode, then you'll want to do some studying, I think. Our friend Kyle is doing here's a Pokemon Unite podcast called EOS Clubhouse, so if you do want to get your feet wet in learning to play better, then he's doing some content over there with Kai Berries and Mockery TV.
Nice.
I recommend it. But more questions.
John, do you have anything, any burning stuff here you want to ask? Like, why is Slow Bill or whatever his name is cool? Or what's his name?
Slow Bill.
I know why Slowpoke is cool.
Slowpoke.
He's just one of the best Pokemon that ever existed. He's extremely slow. He's pink. His eyes are a little askew, and he doesn't feel pain. And his reaction time is extremely slow. And when you press a button, he rolls on his back and snoozes and gets health back. Like, he's just fantastic. He's just a fantastic character. And you don't need much more than Slowpoke / Slowbro. Like, the evolution of Slowpoke, Scott, just for Pokemon lore, and this is why he's so great.
Yeah.
Most Pokemon evolve and actually turn into something new.
Yeah.
Slowpoke has something bite his tail, and it makes him slightly smarter and better. That's his evolution. He doesn't really turn into something different. He just gets bitten by another Pokemon that then fuses to his tail and becomes better for it.
Wow. All right.
That's
now you may have convinced me.
The napping in this game is unreal because Slowbro is a sleeper, but also I've switched off of Pikachu to Snorlax. I'm a Snorlax main because that's what's helped me win games.
Yeah.
I was playing the tank, and Snorlax also, it's in the name Snore. He likes to sleep a lot. One of his moves is called Nap, and you just lie down in the battlefield and take a nap.
Then what does that do? You're invulnerable.
It heals. You're unstoppable, and it heals your health for a little bit.
That makes sense. could have probably guessed that. I don't know why I didn't think of it. So what else would I ask? I know. This is one of the questions I was going to ask. So they kind of start you out pretty hot and heavy to get with Pikachu and his business. And you were pretty much Pikachu main for a while. Is it still a viable character? Do you feel like you're kind of done with him? He's newbie now. Like where are you at?
I mean, he's a novice character. He's easy to learn. But as you get to learn the heroes, you get to learn their shortcomings and strengths. And then if you're playing it competitively, then some heroes are just outclassed by others, strategically speaking. I switched mainly because Pikachu's still all right, but ranked is fairly aggressive. And, it's the same heroes thing. If you play a tank, I can control the battlefield more than if I play a damage guy, because then, the tank we might get is just doing weird shit. Like, here's the first tip, everyone, when you're playing this game. You don't go to their goal and fight at the goal thinking you're going to get a goal. Like, unless they're dead and you have a window to score, or you've got a score shield and know what you're doing, you probably should just farm and then wait for objectives to come up. Yeah. So there's a lot of that happens when the tank does that, then everyone else follows and the whole team commits suicide, then Zapdos comes up and you've lost the game. Yeah. So because I play the tank, I can sort of ping retreat and then go away, and then people will chicken out because their meat shield's gone. And then I can just, it's like, Snorlax is like playing Muradin. He has like not a Q hammer, but he has like a snore, so he can snooze people. He's got a big shield that's really awesome. So, at the end of the day, winning the game often comes down to the Zapdos fight at 2 minutes left in the match. And so controlling where the fight is happening as best as I can. I've been able to make more of an impact in the solo queue that way. So it really isn't about which hero's better, although I'd say Pikachu's fine for your quick match games, and ranked, I think I plateaued with him around Platinum. Okay. I just wasn't winning as many games anymore because he's a mage. He's like Jaina. Like, you cast all your spells and you got to hang around for a bit until your cooldowns come off and then do it again. And
I was going to say that sounded
the game
like
is
Jaina.
too fast for that. Like, It's way too fast.
It's actually one of my, and I mean, I don't have the experience Bo does, so he probably would disagree with this, but this is just my perspective as a new player. It's actually the thing I don't like about the game, is I feel like this game's design is actually counter to itself. Like, you win based on points. Doesn't matter how many times you killed the enemy team. Like, not that it's completely inconsequential, but like at the end of the day, your points matter, but your points being higher than their points is what wins the game. And based on how quickly you respawn in this game and can get back into the fight and drop back in, the window for scoring for like what feels like 80% of a match is extremely small, and it actually doesn't behoove you to score. And there's limits to how many balls you can carry around through the whole thing. Yeah. So the amount of time you spend walking around maxed out on how many balls you can carry, because the game doesn't allow for a window to turn in, because a team fight, it's not like Heroes. You wipe the team, and through the majority of the match, that buys you seconds to get in and score. But in that window, it could be, okay, well, we killed Pikachu, and then we were working on a Snorlax, and we were trying to get him down, and we got him down. Okay, we got everybody down, we can move in, but Pikachu's now already back and coming in. So now we got to fight him too, or we need to back off. I just feel like it plays counter to itself a lot in a frustrating way. And I'm sure with more time, I would be able to figure that out. But it just made for an experience that I didn't really like.
Yeah, the res timers are really short, for sure.
I like fast res timers. Like, that's cool. But like, I want to fight, so I'm just sitting there fighting, and I just end up sitting at like max balls through the whole thing, and don't ever get a window to turn it in.
Yeah. You may enjoy score. Score shield's a pretty good item for the early game. It gives you, when you turn it gives you a shield, and it's so long as you have that shield, you're unstoppable, so you can actually score while the enemies are up. Yeah. And it's good on tanks because it's a percentage increase on your score on your shield. So as a tank, you get a lot of shield. So there are people who learn to bully, who, maybe you get one of them down, maybe you just walk right up through their low health and you just ignore them, walk up and score in their face, and they can't stop you. They're hitting you like crazy. It doesn't work as much late game, but it might be an item that might increase your pleasure just playing the game if you do get back to it. I would recommend it.
No, well, that's cool, and you've been streaming it a lot, so if people want to see Bo play, there's a very good chance at Bo Schwartz on the old Twitch there. You'll find him.
Yeah. Yep, playing a ton. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
I got your Pokemon Unite information covered.
I think the thing that this game needs more than anything, like Bo said, it needs a UI cleanup. Like whenever I launch this game, I feel like, you know how a magician uses distraction so that they can do their illusions and
they pull your eye
get away
one
with
way.
it?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like this game is doing when I log in, and I'm like, am I losing money? Are they taking money from me? Because I feel like there's so much going on this menu that they have found a way to get my wallet, and they're just trying to distract me from it.
It is a lot.
It is one of the busiest main UI screens I've ever seen. There's so much on it.
There's a ton of menus
nuts.
and not enough information. The font's really big, and they don't, it's
keep in mind the devs for this made that game I used to tell you guys about that was made by it was basically the mobile version of League of Legends.
Vainglory or Valor of Legends or something.
No, what was that called? Yeah, it was someone with those kind of names. Anyway, this is that team, and when I look at this interface, I'm looking at the exact interface. Like this is them reskinning it, kind of. So my guess is, well, I mean, they very well could, turn back and maybe tweak it and fix it. But I agree with you. It's not great. And part of it's not great because I really think they just lifted it from their previous successful, mobile effort. And
like maybe that text and stuff works on mobile, but when I'm playing it on my Switch, I'm like, you can do better.
We can do better than
we can
this.
do better. Yeah.
Exactly.
That, by the way, speaking of that, hit Switch this next month. What day? End of the month looks like. And it is cross-play confirmed. So big influx of players across the board will happen with that game. You'll pretty much never not be able to get a match. Hopefully it doesn't mess up the veterans too much with a bunch of fresh MMR. I don't know how that's all going to work, but it's coming there. And there'll be a new season, so we'll find out what they do for seasons. You don't know how seasons work?
No,
how do they? Do you know how they work? I haven't really.
Well, not really, except I don't know if it's a full ladder reset or if it's like a Heroes of the Storm deal where you just replacement games and then you're in your general area. No one really knows.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're gonna. I mean, it's probably to coincide with that mobile launch, and who knows if it changes.
I don't know if I'm gonna be playing this game this intensely for years. Like I'm going hard this season.
Right.
I may move on from it. I don't know that if this is like a Heroes level 7-year commitment of playing. Like I think I'm just really enjoying it right now.
Sure.
I have to. I want to play other things. I think.
Yeah, you can never. They may do something that totally compels you to stick, and if not, well, maybe they won't. But my thinking is, I want to see how this plays on that thing I got. The what the hell is it called? The Backbone. Just see how it plays.
Oh, I'm sure it'll play great on the Backbone.
Yeah.
I mean, I play it handheld too. It's better with I have a sort of a pro controller. It's better. It just feels better because it's an action game, and it's but it works just great on handheld mode for Switch. So I imagine it'll be pretty good.
It'll be pretty good, yeah. Backbone. So we'll try it out and see how that goes. Then having 5G wherever I go is kind of cool, and being able to play it wherever I want. Although I'd look like a complete proper dork at like a doctor's office or something, but whatever.
That's Mr. Johnson's time for your dental appointment. Like, wait! I gotta eat Pokemon Unite match to finish. 2 minutes. We're fighting Zapdos.
We wouldn't want the professional podcaster to look like a dork when he's
no, we don't want that. In the meat space, people think I'm a respectable adult, but they don't know. They don't know what's going on.
It's that whole what they think I do, and it's a picture of you in NPR or something like that. What I actually do, you're playing Pokemon Unite on the toilet.
Yeah, I should do a proper image meme for Twitter for that, but I haven't taken the time to do it. But I know I could come up with some good stuff, but we'll see how that goes. Bo, you played a little more Disco Elysium. Still loving that?
Oh, I did. Yes. So, man, that game is... How far have you gotten, John? This game is like depression simulator. Like
I haven't made it very far. I think I've gotten to the second day.
Let me just tell you, one of the Twitch viewers had left. He's like, I'll come back later. And I was like picking up, bottles from containers and stuff and just, hanging out in the game.
Yeah.
And when he came back, I found a payphone and I started dialing random numbers. And at one point, I don't know why I did this. Some man answered. I didn't know. I was just dialing whatever. And I was like, put your wife on the phone. I want to speak to her. And she's like, what? And he's like, and then I'm like, yeah, I've been, plowing your wife kind of thing. Jeez. And then he's like, what? And he drops the phone. He starts beating her. And then I'm like, oh shit, I was just joking around. What the, and then I try to get a hold of them. And there's a kid crying in the background and they hang up. And I'm like, okay. Like and then I'm like, you know what? Let's dial another number. Let's keep going. And I did this a couple of times. And what was interesting after doing it 5 times, my intuition, my brain, like I don't know if it was my shivers or something in my brain. One of my brain voices like, you want to dial numbers randomly, and I dialed a bunch of numbers. And I dialed my ex.
Whoa.
And that game makes a big deal about that. I mean, I don't know if this is spoilers, but like I didn't know what number I was doing. And like, because I know my name now and stuff, like I know a lot about my character. And it was so intense. And it started raining, and I'm in this payphone all alone in this shitty part of town that's like dilapidated. And I'm like, who the hell am I? And then she's like, let's not talk. I don't want to do this. And there's a man in the background talking. And then by the end, like the way that it hung, like I didn't expect that to happen. And the guy who was watching came back and he's like, what did I come back to? And I just like laughed. I was like, this is so intense. Like obviously something really bad happened and I'm no longer with my significant other and I'm dialing. It's just like, it's so well written and it's so good.
I mean,
that's the thing. I've played enough of that game to know that you inadvertently calling your ex is an insane deal in that world. And
and
the story that they're telling.
They depict it very believably. Like I'm in the moment, like believing this story is important and mattering and stuff, you know, like it's so good.
And all this stuff you guys are describing is voiced now, right? All of it.
Everything is voiced in the game. Yeah. It's a long game. Like I've played, they're up on YouTube. I made a playlist of all my playthroughs. I think I'm at like 30 to 40 hours now of playing. I cut out all the breaks too, so no one has to sit and do the chair simulator for a while.
Yeah.
Of me playing, and it's actually quite a long game if you really get into it. Like a little conversation with some NPC can turn into an hour if you just keep talking to them. Like they will talk to you and waste your investigation time, but it's cool. It's fun. Mm-hmm. But man, that game is intense and so well written and like so good at guessing my reactions to things and then making fun of me for my reactions. That how did you know I was going to react that way to this shit? You know, like it's so like so good. It's so well. It makes you see what an artist making a game can do versus like a corporation, I guess. It really feels like this is a created experience from people that want you to feel something when you play the game. It isn't just about, you know, the gameplay loop or am I constantly busy the whole time. It's about like messing with you psychologically. Yeah. And in meaningful ways, like not just messing with you for the sake of doing it, but actually touching you emotionally. It's super good. Like it's like nothing else. I don't think I've played a game as good as this ever in my life, narratively speaking.
Well,
it's great.
I will forever appreciate a game that puts in tons of extra stuff that you may not ever hear. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like a waste, kind of like from a production standpoint. But if your job is to build a giant tapestry, and part of that tapestry is a 3-hour conversation with an NPC that you might talk to or you might not. Let's say there's only a 20% chance you'll talk to him, but if you do, it's a content-filled moment. That blows me away. Like that is an admirable thing in video games because I know that stuff's not just some computer making it up. You know, that's people writing this shit. And then,
everything's optional here. Like you could plow your way probably through this game without doing much of the side content.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's hard to know what's side content in this game too. You're just here to solve a mystery. Like you could be thorough and talk to everyone. Maybe that's a waste of time, or you could be super efficient and just go through it in 10 hours. Like I don't know what that playthrough looks like. I'm interested in playing a second time to see stuff that I missed. I want to know if I'm physically strong instead of when I try to punch that kid and fall on my ass. If I have like a strength of 6, do I kick him into the upper stratosphere? Like what happens? What happens to the narrative when like I do things differently?
Did you die from sitting in a chair?
Oh, no, but I got hurt. I know what you're talking about, right? Everart's chair. Did you notice the thing about Everart, by the way? I don't know if I want to spoil it, but there's brothers, right? You don't know. I don't remember.
We can talk about it. Yeah.
There's so much. Like also the mystery is good. They give you lots of stuff. Like I have a notepad. It's 30 pages deep now that I've been writing like my notes in. Like just.
Jeez.
As I play, because I'm trying to figure out who killed the guy in the backyard. Like, and then these other mysteries come up. Like, that's the small one, but see.
Wow, look at you.
The case of the missing husband. Like, there's all kinds of stuff in there to do, and I've been just like taking notes and writing them down.
Are you sure we weren't born in the same household? My handwriting is as bad as yours. We have terrible.
My handwriting's terrible. Yeah. I mean, I grew up with a computer. Like, I just hate handwriting.
I do too. I'm saying.
What's the point?
I feel you.
But no, I've been taking tons of notes, and there's still things I'm seeing that the game is not like immediately rewarding. I'm like, I know something about this situation, and at some point that's going to be important. And the fact that I observed it, wrote it down, and noted it is going to reward me, hopefully somehow.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, the thing that I thought was very crazy was I didn't think I was doing anything too differently from the first time I played this game to the second time I played it. And I played to about the same point both times. And in my second playthrough, I discovered the police notebook. Like, I didn't discover that the first time. And there's a ton of stuff around your police notebook and all this stuff pertaining to this item that I didn't see the first time through that I got to, and was like, how did I miss this? This seems like the most important item in the game. Like, this opens up a whole bunch of interesting clues to who you are and what's going on and what kind of cop you were, and like gives you so much insight. Completely missed it the first time through.
You think this Robert Kurvitz guy who wrote and created this game, he's the game runner, he wrote the whole thing, do you think that dude does DMing on the weekend and just makes everybody else seem like the worst DM ever because he's like the greatest DM ever to live?
I mean, definitely a good storyteller.
Yeah, I'll bet he's amazing in that role.
Yeah, I bet she's amazing too. By the way, also I was totally like, because I didn't know who I wasn't doing drugs and stuff, and now I'm totally like, I was like, you know what, I need to pass the skill check. I'm doing pure Holoden and then mixing it with speed. Oh man, the speed in this game, like I've done so much speed now. I'm like, I need to my hand-eye coordination is really low, so doing speed boosts up my motorics ability. So I'm just like, I've been doing lots of speed now, and I'm hoping I don't regret it. Because I'm like, I need to pass the skill check. I don't want to look like an idiot, so I do speed, and they're like, and your electrochemical is like, sweet, now you've become a super cop. Yeah. You're gonna solve this case, buddy. You've done the right thing here. And I'm just like, oh my god,
man,
it's so good.
It's really cool. I was just reading some stuff about this Kurvitz guy. He wasn't, he's not a game designer. He's an author and was making a novel. This was the novel concept. And he met some friend of his who said this would be an amazing video game if we could figure out how to do it. And that's what turned him, got the idea to make it a game.
Yeah. I mean, it's one game of the year at the Game Awards, right? Like that blows my mind. That should not have happened. That's amazing. It's a great thing they did. It like, now having played Disco Elysium and seeing that it won an award, I'm like, oh yeah, this definitely deserved that award like 10 times over. Yeah. And it's still not a game you're going to hear a lot about. It doesn't have the most followers on Twitter, and people are not. It's depressing. It's a work of art. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, you're right. It won the Game Awards. 2019's Game Awards it won, because that was the year it technically came out. This new version with all the voice stuff, that's more recent. But it won Best Narrative, Best Independent, Best Role Playing Game, and Best Indie Game.
I mean, the one thing I'll say is, like, you'll feel like after playing it, like if you sit down and read a book for 8 hours, like it's not like playing Diablo for a long time or Doom or, it's, I do it in chunks. I don't play it all at once because, you're just sitting there playing what is basically a story. It's almost like watching a movie or listening to an audiobook. So like, I got to do it in chunks, but it's been very rewarding. It's not like Pokemon Unite where it's like, I played 8 hours yesterday. What am I going to do today? Play another 8 hours? Like, it's not soda pop of video games. It's more of a big meal kind of thing.
Yeah, but a big complex, somewhat unhealthy but great meal.
Yeah.
All right, you've convinced me more than ever. I just need to play the damn thing. I don't know why.
Give it a few hours, see if it hooks you. It's
I'm just
depressing.
intimidated.
That's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I like a one of the things in here. It says the Wire was a big inspiration. Well, I freaking love the Wire, so I'm into this. It's just it's so intimidating to me, and I don't know why. I've actually avoided video of the thing and audio of the thing because I don't know why. It's weird because it looks so daunting. I see that text over the side and I go, holy shit, it's like 50 books and you just read all day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But
instead of reading it, you do it.
Right.
I find streaming it has made it easier. I've streamed all of my gameplay of it. I haven't played it offline. There's a Twitch integration thing, so you can just stop and chat with your chat room. That's kind of been a fun part of the experience. They can help you vote on things, although I try not to do that because this is my playthrough. But sometimes I'm like, what do you guys think? And then they can vote. There's an overlay where they can vote on what they think your character should say.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take that or ignore it. And they can give you boosts too on stuff, which has been pretty fun. So The only thing I would say about a chat room is they always want you to take the dumb option that's going to make you look like an idiot. So you kind of got to ignore that stuff because it's funny. I'm not mad at it. But it's good. I think the one thing is just like, I'm in my 40s now. It's definitely like a, life in my 40s or older kind of thing, right? Like it's just, the glory days are behind you. Kids like laugh at you because you're like, you're just like, when did this happen? Like I'm one of you, and you're like, nope, you're old and washed up, and it'll put you in that place a little bit. It's depressing,
sure,
but it's so well written and so funny, and sometimes like it goes from that whole like being super sad or moving to being just funny and like back and forth. It's really well done.
Yeah,
and your brain talking to you, man. It's like it's in my head.
Well, I even have a good transition from this game to mine because there's a painterly style to the art in the game that I really like. Yeah. And it reminds me, and has since I very first saw screenshots of Disco Elysium, it reminds me of the art that is all over Guild Wars 2, weirdly. And I'm not doing this really? Just because I need a transition. Like, it actually reminds me of it. There's something kind of painterly about it, but also modern in a weird way. And even in the world of Guild Wars 2, they're like trees look like they were painted on the textures instead of, actual tree textures. And for some reason, this style here bleeds into that in my head. So this is as good a time as any to do that. But
reminds me of something else too that happened recently. There's a character called Egghead. John, do you know Egghead?
I don't know if I met Egghead.
Okay. Anyways, you like Germans, right? When they're real crazy, there's a German who's like, "Yeah, I'm hot to the core, yeah." There's one of these guys. Anyways,
he sounds like the dude in what's the show on
Big
HBO?
Lebowski or whatever?
No, on HBO's the show with the Ukrainian guy, the bald guy.
Oh, Barry.
Barry. It reminds me of that.
Kind of like that, yeah. But he's wild and crazy. Anyways, it just when the lighter moments come up, you'll see if you ever. I probably won't watch the stream. I don't necessarily recommend it, but I do mention sometimes when I see silly things in there. I'm like, oh, Scott would really love this. Like it'd just be really. He'd be like, what the hell?
Really?
Like it's one of those like funny, like Egghead's funny.
I think you're selling me on it. I think I gotta get it.
It's good. Play it, and if you don't like it, it's okay. But like, I love this game to death. Like, it's amazing.
It was on sale on Epic a couple of weeks ago, and I missed it. But I'll grab it on Steam or something. All right. So I did play a lot of Guild Wars 2, and nice. I'm happy to report that Guild Wars 2 remains pretty rad. That's a cool game. It was always cool, but
yeah.
It's still the one part that surprised me is, MMOs, they come, they go, whatever. You don't know really what the status of them are. Like, I guess DCUO, Universe Online, is still very popular, and a lot of people play that game. It's free to play now, but that probably helps. But
I played it not too long ago. I had a good time.
I installed it.
DC Universe Online.
I installed it because I was like,
okay.
I kind of want to check it out. I installed that and Star Trek today. Just for the hell of it.
Hey, I know somebody who can play Star Trek Online anytime he wants.
Yeah, I know that guy too.
Yeah, Mr. Lifetime Achievement.
Lifetime Achievement Award over there. But anyway, because I've been, poking my head in all these MMOs, I was surprised how many people are all over the place in that game. Like, it's just packed with people. The cities have people running around. There were people doing guild events in front of me. There were small cities where they're just players out doing their stuff. My motivation this time around, somebody, a fan of the show, and I don't have his name handy, or I'd give him full credit for this, worked somewhere where they, for some reason, they had some physical copies of one of the expansions, Path of Fire, the expansion, for $1. And he's like, you want one of these? I'm like, yeah, I'd totally do that. And it comes with a character boost to 80. So you can take any character you want or a new character straight to 80, which is max level, but there's tons to do endgame wise, so a lot of people do that when they buy into an expansion. Anyway, so I got that, installed it, got an Elementalist up to 80, and now I'm doing his class story, which scales level-wise, so you can do it no matter what level you are, but I'm basically started at the beginning of his class story, working all the way up. I'm almost to where he's at his level 80 story steps, and the reason I'm doing this is at a certain story step, you get mounts. Mounts came to the game late, like it's a part of that expansion. The Path of Fire expansion, I think, or Heart of Thorns, one of those. Anyway, so I'm all about getting my damn mount. I just can't wait to get my first mount. I'm super stoked about it, and then collecting them, and then getting skins, and Mounts actually do shit in combat. Like, it's crazy, this game. Anyway, so having, spent a bunch of time in that world, messing around with my old characters that I remember, and then doing this new guy and all this stuff, that game is rad. That game is cool, and I got completely hooked on it this week. So I spent all my time in Guild Wars 2, and I didn't expect to do that. I thought I'd just kind of poke my head in there and see what's going on and play with that level 80 content. But I don't know. Again, with this exodus from WoW, a lot of players are trying to find other MMOs, and I think a bunch of them are back to playing that because this place was packed. Every time I get in there, people in there, just all over the place. It doesn't feel like a game that's waning, and they've got a new expansion coming out, and that doesn't happen until next year. So they seem to be all full steam ahead. It's still buy the game or its expansions, but no monthly fees, and there's a bunch of shop stuff, but it's all cosmetic. It's just a cool game. It looks good, holds up.
Wild that there's a lot of people playing, because if you were to base like just what was important about being a part of an MMO on like your YouTube views or whatever, it would you'd have to be in a place that's popular. That's the only place that you should go play a game.
Yeah. I feel like
but
that's
if Guild
waning.
Wars has like a thriving community that does not give a shit about
yeah.
any of that, like they're just there, they're playing their game, and they don't care about Twitch views or YouTube views. Like there's a community there playing. I like to see it. That's all.
I do too. I'm with you. I hope it's a waning thing that we rely so much on who's streaming what, and therefore the audience follows that. I would much rather see a return to more of a, I just like it because it's great, or this is where my community is, or whatever, and you're not just being led around by a Pied Piper who happens to have a big following on Twitch or YouTube. And I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I know people are going to think I am, but I'm not.
I just mean any game. Like,
just in general.
Even Black Desert has the streamers, and like it's just any game. Like Guild Wars is not one I ever see anywhere. Like I see a lot of even what we might call second tier MMOs in terms of popularity. Guild Wars doesn't even register on on any Richter scale of note. No. And yet there's lots of people in there playing. Who are these people? Why do they play there?
Yeah.
Like that's great. Like it's, I don't know, like, and they're able to release another X-Pack. There's enough income rolling in from Guild Wars that they feel they can continue.
They seem to be doing fine.
I
just forgotten how much depth was there at the time and now. Like, there's so much depth to the combat, and the combat's crazy in that game. That game is nuts because it isn't just here are the 20 abilities you get as you unlock them, like every other game. It's, hey, you're holding a sword in this hand, and then in this hand there's like a horn. Well, guess what? That's whole different abilities. You have a staff, whole new set of abilities. You got a charm thing plus, I don't know, you're dual wielding 2 daggers. Guess what? Whole new set of abilities. What if it's 1 dagger and a shield? Whole new set of abilities. Like, it's just got this crazy ability track that I still can't quite believe they pull that off. And it's just deep and rad.
I think that was my favorite thing about the game, is having abilities tied to weapons was very, very cool. At least from the fantasy aspect, because it let you feel like it didn't feel generic, because there's a lot of games where you can go, okay, well, I can either transmog or do something to make it look like I've got the weapons I got, but that very rarely reflects in gameplay.
Right. This does. 100% this does. And you can still, they've got a full transmog system for everything you have. But also the mounts, instead of making 1 billion mounts, there's like 6 mounts total. One jumps, one kind of glides, one's really fast, and then there's one that's technically a flying mount, but really hard to get. But it's just those limited numbers of mounts. You can collect them all, but where it gets crazy is all the skins you can unlock. And there is a shit ton of skins that just completely changes what everything looks like. So clearly they've been working on this thing, and there's tons of content in there. And there's a bunch of players, so I don't know. I found it to be a bit of a shock and surprise, because I was just planning on poking my head and then just kind of checking in, and I ended up getting sucked in. Man, it's been something else. It's a very cool game.
Yeah, it looks pretty action packed too. Like I'm just watching a stream of it now as you're talking, and I'm like,
oh yeah, very action.
Yeah, like I remember really liking starting the play of this. Like it just seems fast and
it's good. It's real good.
I don't know why I bounced off of it, honestly. It was probably less a case of it doing anything wrong and more of probably at the time WoW doing something right. And just you only have so much time to devote at any given time. But it was a game that I never fell out of love with. I enjoyed my time with it, and eventually I moved on, but I don't think I ever had a bad feeling about that game.
Yeah, and it's No, I'm just here to tell you. Once in a while, I don't know. All of this sort of like feeling a little bit free of the WoW shadow has just pushed me in some directions, and finding new love in things like ESO, which everybody already knew about, and all our dragon beef and everything. But I ended up putting another month down on Final Fantasy because I want to do some stuff in there. This is all just kind of my attempt to, I don't know, build out some MMO knowledge that I've just have been ignoring, that are coming from other people, and being able to see the creativity on display from some of these companies who, in light of the WoW competition, had to really work for their shit. Had to really like try to do some stuff, and even then, people probably didn't notice it, or it got ignored, or just, well, whatever. That's a third tier MMO. I'm not going to see it. And now that you see it, and you go, oh my gosh, that's innovative as hell. Why didn't everybody do this? Well, because it's just really hard to get gamers to pay attention when there's such a dominant force in the industry. But
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Most of these games, they aren't new. People aren't talking about Final Fantasy because the last expansion was so good. It was, but like a lot of the content that people are losing their minds over is content that's been around, for quite some time, since the game relaunched, if not after that, shortly. And same with Guild Wars, and same with Star Trek Online. Like, I'm sure they've had their good updates, their bad updates, all games do. But I think what people are discovering is stuff that has, by and large, existed this entire time.
Yeah.
It just wasn't getting the attention. It wasn't getting the focus. So
and
it's kind of nice to see people doing it. I'm glad you're doing it with multiple games, because I have no intention to do it.
No, I know. It's not really your jam. But and I'm glad, too, because it gives us a lot to talk about. But here's the other thing. Like, it's interesting, because when you stick to one thing, this isn't me piling on. Okay, there's enough of that going on right now in Warcraft land, and I'm not trying to do that. But it does remind me of things like Photoshop is a good example. Been around forever. It's the standard. When people say Photoshop, it's like saying Kleenex. They're saying the brand, but they're also saying it's the thing, right? Yeah. Establish itself as the brand. It's like Band-Aid. It's like anything like that, where it's now the thing. You ask for a Coke because you may even not like Coke that much, but you say it because that's what everyone orders. It's like that. WoW has that position, or has had that position for a very long time in its own little space. Like Photoshop, the minute you pull away from it for a second and try to have an open mind and go, well, what are other photo editing / art programs? What are they doing these days? And are they close to what this is? Is it close enough to what this is? And what you find is there is a lot of really awesome shit happening that rival, not only equal what Photoshop is trying to do or has been doing, but beat it in lots of ways, because it doesn't have all this, it doesn't have 30 years of bloat and stuff they have to keep around. But in a lot of ways, it just does stuff better. They've got better UI, smarter functionality, better output options, all this stuff. And you discover that and go, well, wait a minute. Photoshop's just been sort of limping along, and we were just all told to think it was the standard, but that's just because it's the lazy standard. Yeah. And really, there's this other stuff. Does.
They have all the marketing dollars, so you see it everywhere. And
well, yeah, exactly. But they also have that long-term, and you could argue they've earned it, and they have. It's not that they haven't earned it. It's just now if you really take a deeper look, you can find that, oh, well, this isn't exactly what they're selling me. The same thing's happening to me with MMOs right now. I see these other systems and go, that's an amazing system. Like, that should be in every MMO. Why isn't it? Well, because people don't look further than what they think is the standard. And I think WoW's been able to coast on that for too long. Just of having, well, it's enough, or it's sort of like the Legion system, so we'll keep it in, and then that's enough, Like, it's always just barely enough. And I used to blame things like, oh, it must be the engine. They can't do much more with the engine. Whatever. I don't think that anymore. I think these other companies had to be hungry and had to come up with ideas that were different and separated them from what is Warcraft to be something different. And they didn't get the recognition that I think they deserved. And they're all doing it. It's kind of insane. And to being able to see that in this way now is interesting. Just to be able to, And again, this isn't pile on Blizzard. That's not what I'm doing. I mean, maybe you think I should be piling on Blizzard. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying these systems and these ideas are pretty fresh and real and cool, and in many cases have been around for years, and no one notices because the standard is the standard, and we're all paying attention to the standard.
Yep.
And you're invested too. Like all your friendships and communities are there. I notice people don't move together to the same game often. You know, like you'll play a game together and then there'll be 10 different games that people gravitate towards naturally. So there's almost a sense of, well, let's stay in this game where we're together.
Yeah. Sidian says, Sidian in the chat says, there's some irony here that the podcast network that was all Blizzard all the time is suddenly finding out about other MMOs. I don't think that's entirely fair. I had one show about World of Warcraft. And,
you've been aware of all the other MMOs.
Yeah,
you just didn't play them to the extent you have now. It's like, there's other MMOs?
Yeah,
what?
and I spent months in Guild Wars 2 when it came out. I spent forever in ESO when it came out. Like, I bounced back a lot, but also...
It's just different talking about a game's launch, which is what you would typically do. Like, if you're playing WoW and you're doing a show, say, about World of Warcraft, and a new MMO comes out, you try it when it comes out. You see basically the worst period in that MMO's history. You see all the server problems, you see everybody rushing, you see an unpatched, just what they put out bit of content. You go, okay, this is what they're offering, here's what I like, here's what I don't like, and then you go on back to your MMO. I think there's a difference between looking at something that's coming out fresh versus going, okay, I'm not playing this game anymore, let's see what other MMOs that have been around for years are doing. I think you get a different perspective, and I think you get something that you don't get when you check out a game right when it launches.
Yeah. And then, but even besides that, it's like, well, I'll just say it. Hey, any graphic designers, artists, illustrators, cartoonists, photo editors out there listening to me, if you work somewhere and they're making you use Photoshop because that's what the company buys on a mass level, I get it. Whatever. You have to do what you have to do. But I am telling you, especially if you're on Max right now, if you use that Affinity stuff, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, and Publisher, those things are awesome. And the minute I figured that out, I couldn't dump the Adobe stuff fast enough. And I'm a lifetime Adobe user. This is all kind of recent this happened.
Wow.
And I used Photoshop since, since the late 80s when I was in high school. Like with the earliest versions of the damn thing on early Macs, like all the way till current, and I know it back to front. I am telling you, there are alternatives you just don't know about because you're stuck in the standard. And I'm just saying that's possible in gaming. It's just easy to get. It's like kids when you say, hey, I hear there's this new game that's kind of like Fortnite, but they do these other things. Well, they're not going to leave Fortnite because they think they're in the club until they're given a reason to rebel and leave.
And they have an Ariana Grande skin they want to
right.
Yeah.
Right. But like that, I'm telling you, like you're not paying monthly for Photoshop anymore. I'm saving, I don't know, $50-$60 a month. I haven't, not once have I regretted it.
What's it called? Affinity?
Affinity. It's by a company called Serif. I don't know if they make Windows versions.
Is it free to play? Is there a free version?
No, they're one, you pay once and you're done. There's no.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
it's the old way, and they go on sale once in a while.
The subscription I've been paying for years and years and years and not getting too much out.
I tell me what you think about Paint.net because that's free and I use it. It's probably other.
I don't
shit.
know. I haven't used it, but I'm no longer.
Like freeware from the 2000s, I think.
But I'm no longer gonna be that guy that hears you say Paint.net and go, that sounds like somebody's bad idea. I'm gonna have this way different mindset about this stuff moving forward because it's like it's like I'm discovering there's just real innovation that happens and we get so clouded by the current PR, the marketing, the long term, just the stuff we just hold as like a belief or a standard that we think just stays. We got to get away from that. It's bad because then other stuff gets stifled.
Man, this is awesome. I'm looking at it. Man, now I wish I had a Mac.
Yeah, that's the only bummer is it's not on PCs, but they've got tablet versions of all this. That stuff works really well. Lots of interoperability. All your PSD files are great. They open just fine. All your PDFs you can export to PSDs, so it knows.
Oh well, if it'll work on iPad, then maybe I'm fine.
Yeah, you'd be fine. I have it there, but they know who they are and they know the market they're in and they know they have to work within a dominant Photoshop world, but they do it deftly and everything I do is easier, faster, and better. And I paid $45 for it and that's it. And all the updates are free. And I'm just, there's no subscription bullshit. Like, I don't know. I had a real awakening with that and it's happening with MMOs. But you guys know me. I like to do this anyway. Like every 6-7 months, it's like, hey, I found 20 mobile Korean MMOs I got to tell you guys about. Like, I like doing that. It's fun to see what shit's going on and not getting stuck in my little island, you know? I just want to know.
Yeah.
All right.
So Guild Wars 2, man, it's tempting.
I know. It's fun. I think, you know what? When you've had your way with all those Pokemon and you just need a break and want to fiddle somewhere, I think it'd be if you can get your account back.
That sentence. When you've had your way with all those Pokemon and you just want to fiddle somewhere.
Yep.
And like the Guild Wars 2.
That all came out wrong.
But
they have Windows versions.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, I take it back. They have it on Windows. Sorry, the Serif stuff. That's great.
Oh, great.
That's great to hear.
Because I've been thinking, like a little bit in my head, I'm thinking about playing Final Fantasy 14 again. Because I know I'm in newbie land and the game gets fun later. It's been called. There's like a siren song. Like I'll wake up in the morning and there'll be a Final Fantasy mermaid like outside my window going, "Play Final Fantasy 14."
It's more like,
and like, shh, stop! You're trying to
more like,
drag me into the sea. Yeah, and I wake up and I go, "Huh?"
Well, I feel that itch right now, and I'm I don't know, for some reason Guild Wars 2 very surprisingly just kept me going. And
by the way, sorry, just to interrupt here, but that's right. You had an instance version of the show for the Old Republic, right?
Yeah, we did.
And you also played Rift a ton as well. When
I did play a lot of Rift.
It's not like you didn't know any other.
Oh, this
MMOs.
always
Just
happened, dude. From the day one.
That's the reason I played Rift, and I didn't like Rift, and there was a part of me that was like, I feel like I got duped by Scott.
Did you? I never reconciled that feeling.
I didn't like Rift.
I liked Rift okay for what it was when it was. But also, I think Rift really was just doing the WoW template thing in the end. Like, at the end of the day, it wasn't that different. But it was fun.
The rifts did look cool, though.
Yeah, that stuff was cool. The actual rifts the name is based on were cool. Yeah, like when there's a shooter MMO. What was that one that was based on a TV series on the Sci-Fi Channel?
Deviance or something? Or Defiance?
Defiance? Was that it?
Something like that. I think it's still a thing.
I played a shit ton of
I think it's called Defiance.
I
remember trying it, and it was so, but not
I
good enough
used to
me.
play every single MMO. I feel like I've really lost my way. Because I played the one that had the Minotaur on it.
Oh,
I don't remember what that one was called.
Hold on.
Shadow something.
Shadow of the... I played this game. You had a whole city building thing where you could all...
Yes.
Oh,
The only thing I can remember is that I think it had Shadow in the name and it had a Minotaur on the box. It's 100% of what I remember of the game.
What was that called? Google's not good at this. If I search for MMO with a Minotaur on the box, it doesn't give me what I need.
You're going to see a stupid torrent.
Shadowbane.
Shadowbane.
That's it. Yeah, I played Shadowbane. Those were ex-EverQuest people at the time.
Yep.
But like, Anarchy Online, Dark Age of Camelot, World of Warcraft, City of Heroes, the other superhero one that isn't DCUO that went away. Whatever that was called.
Oh, yeah, that one was really good, too. All the superhero ones I've really enjoyed all the superhero ones.
Yeah,
I was a Matrix Online player.
I played Matrix Online, too, for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Not very long, but a little bit. WildStar, loved that game.
Played, yep.
I wish that game hadn't gone away. That thing was rad. But anyway, like none of this is new. And also, boy, listen, if I would have just based everything on Warcraft for 15 years, we'd have been in real trouble. Like, you got to remember TMS is 11 years old this year, and like we're past that point. The point is, if you're out there and you're feeling a little lost, either because Warcraft itself as a game has left you a little dry, and you're just feeling like, I've done it all, I don't want to do this anymore. Don't go thinking that there aren't other MMOs to give you something, because they're there, and most of them are really accessible in that they're either really cheap to get in or free in a lot of cases, and you're not going to have to pay your $15 a month unless you find one that you want to or whatever. Yeah. There's just cool stuff to play, so play it. I loved Marvel Heroes, that action RPG, the Diablo one.
That
Marvel
game
Heroes
was so
great.
good. The only thing I didn't like was how many currencies they had.
Yeah,
like
true.
Inventory management was a pain, and they did a lot of like big resets, and so there was a lot of like logging in and not knowing how to play my character anymore. But
yeah,
I loved that game. They had the coolest heroes. They had the best skins. Like
and amazing abilities. It felt really
the abilities
good.
were fun to play. It was fun to play.
It was really fun to play. I love the world event stuff. That game was freaking rad. I don't know what happened there. Disney and Marvel are weird.
Someone who doesn't know games, but like that looks like a terrible game. Let's make this. Let's shut down the actual good games and make shit games like that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. All right, moving on to well, wow, I could go on for days about this one, but I won't. I'll keep this one short. Humankind. It came out. Humankind is the folks behind Endless Space 1 and 2. Endless Legend as well. They know their 4Xs pretty well. I love Endless Space, especially 2. 2 is one of my favorite 4X games. And Humankind is kind of their more direct shot over the bow of the Civ 6 domination. You start a bunch of Neolithic era civilization, and you build it from there. One unique thing about this game is that instead of starting with some leader or some stats from the leader or nation, you pick that later. You actually kind of roam around, and as you do, you make discoveries, gain a reputation, and then you choose who you're going to be. And you might decide, well, I guess we're going to be the early Egyptians, or we're going to be the early Mesopotamians, or whatever we're going to be, because the area you find yourself in, which is always random and new, might be conducive to certain benefits of choosing that nation. So instead of being wanderer nomads, now you are the nation of Egypt. And so you do a lot of Egypt stuff, but then down the road at a different age, you can actually change. And this is the weird bit. Some people don't like it, but you could be down the road a bit, and you could be, and this is why it's problematic. You could be Egyptians, or let's say Africans, or you could be, I don't know, India, and down the road go, I think it'd be beneficial for me to be white, Anglo-Saxon, British types, which just has connotations, right? Like
I can see why people maybe read into that a little more than they should.
Yeah, mechanically, it's a very cool thing. If you're trying to compare it to realism, then I guess maybe it's a little problematic. But
I mean, I get where it comes from, because there's nothing more frustrating than setting up. You don't like to. You want to go into like a Civ game and be surprised, so you do a lot of random stuff. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm Samoa, a bunch of Samoans, and they get a bunch of like water-based benefits,
Right.
and then it gave me Pangea for my continent type, and we're right in the middle of this landlocked world, and now all of a sudden, all the benefits of my culture don't work at all.
They
don't make sense. How would you have those benefits if you didn't evolve in a water-based environment, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
Exactly.
So I can see why somebody might go, hey, let's rethink this. I do think it's a little weird to change it. I think maybe they could have avoided it if it was just maybe picking traits that are attributed to other cultures, and you're just like, oh, we'll take this, and they're using it as a template or an example, not like going, hey guys, let's race change. we gotta just fix this whole thing.
Yeah, in a way, I think they were saying, let's make the 4X genre feel a little more liquid. When you're mid or late game, we don't want you burning out. Maybe you make a big change that really refreshes things. I think that's kind of their thinking, and in that way, I think I respect it. It's a beautiful game, very pretty. Got a really interesting art style for the way they present most things, but like the overworld stuff looks really nice. I mean, this is all, it's a modern 4X game. It should look pretty, but it does all that stuff really well. It is definitely a Revolution Studios game. You can see the way that they do, like in Endless Space 1 and 2, you can send your units off on a bit of a trip or whatever, probes in those games, or in this game, like your scouts or whatever. And they, after the next turn, you end turn, you can finish their journey. It can be one of the moves you make. It's hard to explain, but it's one of the things that sets their system apart from the way that others do 4X games, including Old World, including Civ. So it'll just feel familiar, I think, if you already know their systems. All that stuff's fine. The discovery system's fine. I think the game seems kind of afraid of conflict. It doesn't want you to get in too much trouble with warring nations, and that's actually kind of how I play. So that serves me well. But I know some people aren't going to love that. I like to just build my world and I don't know. I'm not like you and I always talk about, John, when we play like Age of Empires. We just turtle up. And, you know.
I don't want these NPCs, these CPUs to be mad at me. I don't want them to think I'm a bad guy.
Right.
I want Cleopatra disappointed in me, so I'm gonna just be nice to everybody.
Yeah, and I let them walk on me.
I play like that too, but then they piss me off, and I'm like, I'm gonna show them, and then I destroy their country.
Well, and then the game.
That's what always ends up happening to me.
But if the game's good enough, then that's good, right? Because it makes you have to make a tough decision, which is I've got to go warlike if I'm going to make it through this or whatever.
No, it's more like Napoleon. He's got a small little country, and he keeps messaging me like, you suck, you suck, you know? And I'm like, you know who sucks? You do. Goodbye. Your country's mine. Like, it's more of like it's based on irritation and not it's probably a reason why people have gone to war in the past. Yeah. But it makes me feel shitty about myself because I'm like, I'm not trying to live peacefully with them. Probably, I'm like impatient, and I'm like, what's yours is now mine.
Sure.
And it's scary.
It's a little scary.
It's probably a more accurate leader simulation that Bo doesn't go to war over resources or territory. He's just like, so sick of getting emails from them. Right. I hate their emails. Yeah. I'm gonna go take them over so I don't have to get any more emails.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm showing the chat some video here that the interface is nice. That's one thing they're known for at this studio. I think they do a really good job with minimalism and not having it feel like it clashes with the world or has to match the world exactly or whatever. But this is one of those games where you start in the Neolithic age and you work your way all the way up to, let's go to space. So if you like that, that's
lady on some drugs.
She's a little druggy, right?
She just doesn't sit still. She's like,
none of them do. They all move around a lot, and they all kind of freak me out, to be honest. These
Wait
avatars are weird.
Edgar Allan Poe is one of the people you can rule a country as?
Yeah. So there are some celebrity looking.
He is Edgar.
Yeah, his name's Edgar, and it also includes in the game. You're not actually Poe. It's just like, hey, here's some skins. So like, there's some YouTubers in here, or like a Twitch streamer in here, or something that I don't know who they are, but some big strategy Twitch streamers, a person you can look like if you want, or you can go.
I
customize
did hear
the whole
about
thing.
that. Yeah, I did know that.
If you want,
you can really model the face. There's a full character customizer.
Oh yeah,
here.
Yeah, they got all that stuff. So that's pretty
cool. So you can make Bo.
Yeah, you can make
Scott
Bo
or John.
Yeah. You look like there's Bo right there. The guy can just hit end. He's got it. He's nailed it.
Just need the long hair. That's me in 10 years when my hair falls out.
But yeah, it's just skins. But anyway, the actual gameplay I think is solid. I think it's a really good 4X game. For me, the winner of this little recent 4X game, Attention Fight, probably goes. The win probably for me is still Old World because I like being stuck in ancient age stuff. I don't like. I don't know what it is about mid and late game Civ. All my games in Civ, I'm still horses, chariots, and shit like that, and then I move on and start a new game. And I think Old World knows that about a lot of players, and they made a game where we just stay there, and all of the intrigue happens.
Stupid. It's like, do you want to study plastic? It's like, okay. How did that change the map at all? It's like, now you.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying plastic wasn't an important invention. I'm not trying to belittle the technology we've achieved. But there's a tangible difference between my guy with clubs now can shoot arrows at people versus, our carbon footprint is lessened now because we have researched waste management.
Right.
It's like, it's just not exciting or interesting.
Yeah,
like,
for me, that's
it makes
why
warfare easy too. You research the big giant robot and then you just annihilate other towns as well.
And I think what you're describing is why I like Old World for where it's set and why I like Endless Space for where it's set. Because Endless Space is like, hey, we're in space. Everything you're going to do here is space related. And all the shit you're going to learn is either discoveries or researching or whatever, but it's all in space already. And everything over here is all happening on the planet already, and I don't have to make weird brain leaps like, well, suddenly, my slingers from the Neolithic age are now tanks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's something about that.
Well, and then you get that dumb moment where you realize you've had a unit asleep for 13 centuries, and like it wakes up because you finally go to war, and somebody rolls up with a tank, and you've got an archer who's just like, he shoots his little bow at it, and you're like, oh man, I forgot to upgrade that guy, and now my civilization looks stupid.
Yeah, like there's something about that stuff that on the one hand, it's kind of funny and kind of, okay in its own weird way. But I don't know. For me, the videos drive me nuts because this guy has all of his tiles turned on to tell me what their bonuses are. And it just looks messy.
Yeah, a lot of people play Civ that way.
Yeah.
I learned when I was trying to actually learn how to play Civ, because I got to that point where I was like, okay, I think I know how to play. Time to find out if that's true.
Yeah.
I watched a bunch of videos and strategies and all sorts of stuff, and I found out this is how most people play high-level Civ, and it boggled my mind.
Yeah, I can't do it. I need it to look prettier than that. But
do you guys ever shoot nukes in late game Civ? By the way,
I never get there.
Yeah, I mean what else are you gonna do? Like that's the point. I think most people do because it's like, okay, well we can research television, or I can go heavy towards nuke and just have a little fun in this game.
The one thing I found the implementation rough on, I think in late game, is air combat. It's not really.
No, because
it's always handled so badly. Yeah. It's such an important part. Like naval battles are handled so well, but like air combat just feels really like it's never been a good system.
That's hard in any strategy game because air superiority is everything in modern warfare. It can change everything, and so when you can't properly represent that.
But you don't patrol around, right? Like you fly out on missions, but at the same time, you'd probably be keeping regular air patrols, and they just don't really do it that well. Or you have to micromanage it a lot, and it's just not.
Yeah,
it's not great. That's why you try to rush through it and get to the nukes, and just if someone pisses you off, you blow up their country.
Yeah,
it's like. Pew.
I just feel like this. I don't know. I'd just rather be in old times, or I'd rather be in space, and not the stuff in between. And so I think between Old World, which I think is my favorite of these. I think this is really good, by the way. It's on Game Pass too, so there's no reason for Game Pass users not to play it. It's not on console either. It's just PC. So there's no reason not to play it. So you can play it there. It's everywhere else, of course. And there's a lot to like. I think it's a very cool one of these. But one of these reviews I read was really spoke my language. Basically, it was about language. He says, look, 4X games, especially those where you start as a Stone Age man and work your way up, they all speak a language. That language is Civ. Like Civilization is such a seismic force in this genre. It's impossible for these games not to speak that language at the core. So what you're playing here is them adding some cool new stuff, but it's all on top of a language you already know. But that also means it's a little bit limited because they're not going to completely change the language of the game. This game speaks Civ, and for good or for bad, for ill or for great, whatever, that's just something to keep in mind. So unlike Endless Space 2, which I feel like is its own thing and doesn't really borrow from much, given the setting and just kind of how space works and everything, this feels like, oh, okay, this is a lot like Civ with a bunch of ideas of their own, but at the core of it, you're still speaking that language. So just know that when you play it. And that's true of Old World too. I don't want to act like it isn't. The strength of Old World for me is the personality, like kingdom stuff, and the setting. And it's staying there. And I'm never going to have to worry about tanks or plastics or TV or nukes ever in that game.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, I played Amazon Luna. I got in on that. I just wanted to see how it compared to GeForce Now and xCloud and all that. It worked fine. It was great. They have a pretty good selection. It's like $5 a month. You get 7-day free trial. There's a ton of games in there that I already own, so it's not that valuable to me. I'll probably cancel because I don't really have a need for it. But their channels thing is interesting once those start to build up. Right now, there's just the Ubisoft one, and I know there are more coming. But it's good. It's a good cloud service. Latency was low. No big issues. It was fine. So there's my mini review of Amazon Luna. All right, John. Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. Still, the stream continues. You haven't?
Yeah, it's almost done. I'm about ready to kill Chaos.
You're gonna kill Chaos?
All that's really left is for me to kill Chaos. So I had planned to beat it before this stream, but I got a big household and it didn't happen. And so I was going to play today, and I have a big household and it didn't happen. And So
what does that mean? I have
that
it sounds like a weird.
That means between
I don't want
having
to give the real reason. I'm like, I have a big household. That's why I didn't kill him.
Well, one, I think the stream's on in the other room.
Oh.
I think if I say anything, I'm going to get called out. But no, I have a little baby, demands a lot of attention.
Right.
And I have a wife that works from home now. So depending on what her needs are as far as her job, which is more important than me streaming as far as money and income goes.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't mean to like call you out or anything like that. It just sounded weird the way you phrased it. It's like, we'll wait till next week.
Taking kids to school, stuff like that. Sure. It's just busy.
You got to do adulting. It's important.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, you wake up, you go, I'm gonna stream today, and then next thing you know, it's 8 p.m. and you go, well, that didn't happen, and we'll try tomorrow. So yeah, I am up to the last dungeon, so I'm thinking one more stream on Final Fantasy, and then I can finally say I've beaten a Final Fantasy game.
Oh my gosh!
Will be
the
first one.
Arguably the hardest one I got to think to play, just based on its low techedness, right? Like.
Is that true?
Sticking with it must have been challenging, right? I mean,
I don't know. People keep saying that I'm too OP, and I feel like I am because right now playing that game, I have the auto battler turned on for every fight.
Oh,
I don't until I get to a boss. A fight starts, I hit X, and my characters fight because I've got Scott, our warrior, and he just does great damage when he hits, so he just attacks. We got John, the red mage. He just does great damage because I give him all the best weapons.
Sure.
Which because he's the main character.
Yeah.
But it sucks because I got a great sword called Excalibur, and I wanted to give it to John. John can't use Excalibur for some reason, so I had to give it to Scott. So for the first time ever, Scott's weapon is better than John's.
Yeah, remember all this when the zombies come, and the three of us just happen to be together when the zombies came, and we have to survive. John's going to keep all the good stuff for himself. That's how that's going to go.
It's really upsetting that John had to give that to Scott, but he did, because you know what? The party's survival comes first.
That's right.
But then we have Ben, who I found an item that you can use it as many times as you want because that game uses spell slots. But you can use the item and it will just cast a group heal. And it's not a very big group heal, but if he casts it every single round, you kind of make up for the difference by using it constantly. And then I found an item on par with that for Bo, which casts fire every round. It's not the most powerful version of the fire spell, but again, it doesn't use a spell slot, so he's keeping all of his spell slots open, and it lets Bo, instead of running up and stabbing something with a dagger, like he does AoE damage to all the enemies. So I just auto battle through that whole thing, and it has not been hard. It has not been difficult. So I'm feeling pretty good about defeating Chaos. I could end up being wrong.
You're going to kill Chaos, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go after Chaos, and that's probably gonna be either tonight if I get impatient, or tomorrow that we'll be doing that.
Well, I have audio of you making that attempt. Listen to this.
I'm here to kill Chaos.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's me.
Let me know how that
goes. Me,
I'm
about to do it, you guys. It's so good.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, I'm excited about that, and just continuing my story here. I tried to play Katamari Damacy Rerolled, which is on Game Pass. And I was like, you know what? I could go for some Katamari Damacy of my life. I booted it up. I heard the theme song, which is so good. It's still got one of the best theme songs in the whole world. And, then I have a big household and I got pulled away. So all I did was see the intro and do the tutorial, and then I turned it off.
I meant to check that out. I like that original as well. I'm a fan. So I wouldn't mind.
There's some really cool stuff coming to Game Pass for me specifically. I don't know if this will translate to everybody, but I was looking for the Quake thing, and I discovered that a remaster of Myst is coming out.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
In just 7 days, like next week. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Myst. I'm so excited for this now.
Oh, wow.
So that's coming out in a week. We have Psychonauts 2.
Yep.
In a couple days.
Yep.
that's really exciting. That game 12 Minutes also just came out, which I'm very curious
I was
about.
wanting to play that, and I didn't know that was even coming to Game Pass. So I'm stoked about that. I'm going to play that game.
So,
sure.
and the Microsoft Solitaire collection too. So don't.
And by the way,
don't
racing fans, don't let a little game called Art of Rally pass you by. I own this on Steam, but it's now on Game Pass. That is the coolest little top-down racer thing. If you like rally games like I do, where the road is your boss, kind of. And it's a lot about, getting the right turns and not graveling out into the nowhere land and just the fight that is rally racing. I love that stuff. That game is great. Very cool little game.
It looks like the No Man's Sky version of it.
Kind of, yeah. There's a weird. You're right. There's like a not low poly, because it's not low poly.
It's more the color schemes. I think it looks like it's on No Man's Sky planets.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
It's very much that way. Age of Empire, or no, what's the other one that was coming? The Luminous reboot thing that's on there is very good. I played that on xCloud the other day. It's very cool. Worth checking out also. But yeah, Game Pass is looking real tight right now, like a good fall. I like it. That Starmancer's also.
Hades is out too. I played a bit of Hades again. I'm like, I have a save file on my PC. I'm going to stop this. I did like a few runs.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Now with Game Pass, it's the third time I own Hades on the PC. It's ridiculous because I bought it on Steam for no reason other than it was on sale, and I was like, I really like Hades, and I'd like to have it on Steam as well. Plus, it might be fun to have to go through and re-unlock all that stuff again. So I bought it on Steam, and like a day later, they're like, and it's coming to Game Pass. I was like, cool. This is third place. I'll have Hades. Why not?
Yeah, why not? It's the new Skyrim. It's on everything twice, 3 times.
Although well-deserved. Hades is such a good
Hades is amazing. So is the Sin game. What's that called? Dead Cells.
Dead Cells is everywhere too.
Also on there.
Dead Cells is great.
Dead Cells is so good, dude. Oh my gosh. All right. Also, Realm of the Dead or Curse of the Dead Gods coming to Game Pass.
I've seen that. I want to try that game. I heard it. I saw Brian Dunaway playing it.
Yeah, that's a nifty game. Good. It's very good. And Bo, it turns out you and I also played a game this week that I didn't know we did. Jupiter Hell. We played. I played.
Yeah,
that too.
I forgot to mention that. I played an hour of it on the weekend.
What'd you think?
I don't know yet. I was a little turned off by it a bit, but I think I just need to come back to it. I think I played it too late in an evening and was just a little grumpy about it.
It's very
it's
old
turn-based.
School. Yeah, it's very.
But then it's
old
not
school.
turn-based.
Right. It's turn-based in that old roguelikes were turn-based. You made a move, but then the other guy moved too. It's a different kind of turn-based.
But if you input a lot of stuff, you don't really feel like you're taking turns anymore. And you go too fast and you screw up and you're like, what did I do?
Yeah.
So like, I think I need like a brain reset. Also, the menus are very text-based.
Yeah. And
you need to read them, and I just wasn't in the mood for that. So
I also
it's interesting, though. I'm interested in it. I'm going to come back to it.
It's cool. It's the one that was a mod. It was somebody had made a Doom thing, and the Doom people sued them, and so they started over and made their own game. But it's still very much set in that kind of the Doom universe.
Like they have the zombie gun, the zombie soldiers, and the imps so far that I've seen, and like the skulls that shoot at you. Like it's pretty much top down Doom.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's just hard to tell if I'm supposed to take my time and play it one move at a time and be very methodical. Because when I was playing it, I was kind of speeding through, like shoot, move here, and then I'm dead. What the hell just happened? And I'm like, I'm clearly not playing this game right, like so. Yeah,
there's definitely strategy to it. I'm not great at it yet, but I wish it let me use WASD for control and not make me use the damn arrow keys.
Yes.
Feels like 1992 all up in here.
And I wanted to use a controller and it wouldn't work either. I'm like, okay, it's a controller game. I get it.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to work with controllers like a D-pad, but mine didn't work either. So
mine didn't work. And I know it wants you to use numpad to move around. I'm like, yo.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
We don't do that anymore.
No, I know they're trying.
Too old school.
I know they're aiming for that. Like they want people to feel like, oh, look at these guys are making a thing from like '91 here or whatever. And
it used to be like that. All the Sierra games, I remember you'd have to control with the actual arrow keys.
Yeah.
In fact, do we even need these arrow keys anymore?
No.
Like on a keyboard, like that should go, right? Like we don't need them anymore.
That's how I played back in the early Doom days. When we do LAN parties and stuff, that's how we played. So you controlled with your right hand, and there was no mouse control for Doom back in the day. So it was just your arrow keys and then the space bar for shooting.
Yeah, it wasn't WASD either, right? Yeah, I guess not. But that's like that stopped. I don't know when exactly that stopped and went to WASD. Was Quake the one that did that?
I think Quake was the one because then mouse look mattered and suddenly you could.
Yeah.
And you had to enable that. That was like a whole manual process back in the day.
I used to have some pretty stupid ways I played video games before we all figured out controllers. I remember playing with my left hand on the arrow keys.
Yeah.
And then I would map right control, right shift, and enter to be certain things. And then in my right hand, I would have like a gamepad.
Yeah.
And then I would use the 4 buttons and the trigger and stuff on the gamepad.
Oh, that's cool. You were Nintendo switching or viewing before.
I kind of was. It was.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, it was stupid.
Yeah,
and I think about
I'm
it,
impressed
but
by that.
It's really making it work.
I can see you. For some reason, I can picture John just thinking real hard about that, like sitting there going, "All right, if I map it to return and then use shift for this," and I can totally see your process.
Yep.
But yeah, you had to train myself completely flip and not control with my left hand or right hand anymore. Because
that was the one advantage to my stupid way of controlling things, is then when we all figured it out and got on the same page with WASD,
you were already there.
Used to using my left hand to move.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good. This is an easy switch for me.
That's what's okay. So there are 2 things in my gaming life that feel the same to me, but they're very different, but they're the same problem. And that was training my brain to switch to a new way of controlling and thinking. That was one. And the second one was Heroes of the Storm. I had the hardest time turning off character follow, whatever that was called. Character lock, where the camera just kind of stayed centered.
Oh, the camera lock, yeah.
Yeah, and doing it the way you should do it, which is, zipping around like a proper game. I finally did do that in the last, 2 years or whatever, playing that game hardcore. I finally got there. But that was hard for some reason, and I don't even know why. Like, I'm not bad at controlling games. It was
too hard for me. I left camera lock on.
That's right. You always did it.
And
that's right.
The ironic thing is, if you play Pokemon Unite, you're camera locked.
Right.
There's a way you hold down the left bumper and you can move around. I'm getting pretty good with it.
Yeah.
But you're character locked. Like,
yeah.
There's no playing lock. Like that doesn't exist.
But now it feels weird. If I play a MOBA and it is locked, it feels really weird to me. I can't do it.
Yeah. That's probably the hardest part of PU.
Yeah. Well, those are good times. PU.
That's the initials for Pokemon Unite.
Oh my gosh.
They should call it PN.
That's the reverse of the Swords of Legends Online.
Yeah, that's Swords.
It's a case of a good name that abbreviates poorly.
That's the other thing.
I played last night.
I got to get level on that. I got to get max on that so I can try their end game. But I got distracted by Guild Wars. Because of my MMO playing just knows no bounds right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are the games we played, everybody. We hope you enjoyed that. Will you enjoy this?
That's a good question.
A quick email from a listener who sent this to talktothecore@gmail.com. His name is Nick C. And he said, "Hey, y'all. Had a quick question for you. So knowing that Scott loves mech games and all things mech, I'm surprised I've never heard you guys talk anything about the Armored Core games. I remember playing these when I was younger, and I love them. It might be just because there isn't one made in a long time, or I simply miss it. Love you guys, and I hope all is well. Nick."
Armored Core.
I don't talk about Armored Core because I used to work with somebody that was obsessed with Armored Core. And it's one of those things where somebody is so knowledgeable, they suck all the knowledge out of the room and you can't speak on the topic anymore because they just exist in the matrix of that topic. I mean, they could tell you percentages of damage that each weapon does on the fly in the moment. Like, it seemed cool, but it seemed daunting because whenever I talked about it, I was talking to somebody who was basically an encyclopedia for that game.
This wasn't Ben, was it?
It was not Ben.
Not Ben, but somebody at Software Etc. or wherever you were.
Yeah,
GameStop.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that makes sense. They always are. That's where all the brainiacs are. They know everything.
There's always someone. Yeah,
always somebody.
We had a lot of downtime. I worked at a GameStop that was across the street from a mall that had a GameStop in it.
Yeah.
And we were tucked on the side of our building next to a dance studio, and that was the only thing that was over there. So not a lot of foot traffic just casually coming over to that corner. I played through almost all of Disgaea at work.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it was just a wonderful time. We created an entire suit of armor out of out of boxes,
I
KOTOR
heard
shipping
about
boxes.
Yeah, you've talked about that before.
I cut a Madden football man standee in half with a katana.
Nice.
We used to zing AOL trial CDs through the store to see who could throw it, and you could actually throw them through the ceiling tiles, and it would just leave a nice little even slit in the ceiling tile, and
no one would have
nothing
noticed.
else. It's like little razors.
Nice.
Let me tell you, some stuff went down in that store. It was great.
I picture that Better Call Saul story arc where he's working at the cell phone store and no one comes in.
Yes.
There.
Yes. That felt very true.
Yeah, that sounds right. Well, I'm jealous,
So
actually.
this game, I mean, it looks pretty cool. Is it
Armored Core?
Online game?
Oh, yeah, back to the question, yeah. So this was a console game, and the last one I want to say was that 360 one that also used the Kinect for some control stuff. It was kind of, no one liked it, but the reason I don't bring up Armored Core is I never played an Armored Core game, not once. I feel like I missed out.
I don't even think I've heard of this game till now.
I was more of a Mech Warrior guy, and I played all those. Mech Warrior 4 in particular, I played until my eyes bled. I love that game. And I do love mech games, and I don't have anything against Armored Core. I just never played it. I do remember a game. There was a PlayStation game called Crazy Ivan. Do you guys remember this? Does it sound familiar?
No, not at all.
It actually does sound familiar, but I don't remember it.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Crazy Ivan. It's actually the name is based on a maneuver of some Russian rocket thing. So that's where the name comes from. But the game itself, if I can find it, let's see, Crazy Ivan game. Here we go.
Oh, it's because it's spelled with a K.
Oh, with a K. Yeah, that's right. This was on PlayStation, PC, and Sega Saturn, and it was a mecha first-person shooter. Psygnosis made it. I loved them. They did Wipeout and that Colony Wars shooter game, space game. Anyway, you take on the role of Ivan Popovich, a Russian soldier controlling a giant mech suit, defending the Earth from robotic aliens. It had 5 zones. It says here it was the U.S., France, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Anyway, it was a cool game, dude. But it looks like shit now if you go look at it. It's not.
Oh my gosh. I want you to share a picture. I'm assuming this is from one of the cutscenes.
Oh, let me see.
On, where is
now
it?
I'm excited. Where? Show me.
That's under the
Discord?
Images. Let me just get the link to it. Did it go?
I'm so excited.
So good.
I haven't seen this in 20-something years or more.
What is this game? I also like that it's got like it's got like Kane from Nod like on the
totally
cover.
has. Oh, that's the other thing. Live action video throughout. So all the cutscenes are real people, and like they did back then. I mean, it's not good, but man.
Gosh dang it, I can't find this.
I loved it so much. I loved Psygnosis. I'm
Copy
sad
image address. I'm gonna just put it in the chat room because it's a weird thing of
you can stick it
computers. I found the image on one computer and it's not the one I have Discord on.
Yeah, the link you sent is here, chat. You guys can see it here if you don't want to click it.
I want to play this game.
She's real. That's for real. That's her. That's a freak out face from one of the characters. The other thing on the other side is the actual box art, obviously, but and that's Crazy Ivan, that face there. But it's a cool. I don't know. I like mech shit. I don't care what's in it. It's just cool. It looks like Garbaggio though. Like if you look at the actual, yeah, there you go, chat. Look at that. Ugh. Ooh, rough time in our period. But look at that full motion video. Like the person talking to you, sort of like. Snake, I need you to get to the thing. It's all full motion, real people. So which is kind of cool at the time, right? But look at this ass graphic engine. Oh man.
Yeah, it's so bad.
But I thought it was so fun because it had mechs in it. All right, that was all that mattered. I'm a big fan. I need recommendations from the BattleTech people out there that listen who can recommend the best novels to read because I hear there's some great Mech Warrior / BattleTech books, and I don't know what to start with or where to read. I would love to do that. Oh, that's an ass looking game.
This game looks great.
I mean, for the era, it did.
Yeah, that mech looks cool. That mech looks big and bulky and intimidating, which is honestly something a lot of mech games have a hard time conveying.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like the ones that make him look sexy and slim. I like big, bulky, ugly, gnarly, metallic.
Like, I don't mind a sexy mech, but if you're gonna have one that looks like a tank, it needs to feel big and tank-like.
Like the Evangeliton, or what's that called?
Evangeliton.
Honey, lock the door. The Evangelitons are outside again.
What's
They're always telling us how great Jello is. I hate it.
Gelatin.
Evangeliton, like gelatin is the primary ingredient in Jello, right?
Yeah.
Gelatin.
Why can't I think of
So an
it?
Evangeliton. You made a thing. This is a comic. Like
Only for a very specific audience, though.
Neon Genesis Evangeliton.
Evangeliton, yeah, that's the one.
Imagine giant mechs made of gelatin battling it out, and then when they smash each other, like gelatin sprays on the populace.
I'd be into that. Bring it on. But that's the one with the really depressing kid in the anime who's like, I'm sad, but I also control this robot.
Right.
Okay. All right.
You're right.
I couldn't get through it. I tried.
It's depression depicted in the form of giant mechs fighting each other.
Yeah. It didn't. Evangelical. What? Someone tell me the real word.
Evangelical.
It's not evangelical, is it?
Oh, you're talking about Evangelion?
He's talking about
Yeah.
Evangelion.
Oh, Evangelion. Gosh dang it.
Oh.
That's the real word he wants.
I don't think
to know.
Evangelion is not a real word, right? Like in terms of.
I don't know. Is it? Maybe it is.
It's the name of the thing in Neon Genesis.
It's just it's a proper noun. It's not a thing.
All right. Well, if you want to send us an email telling us that we got all of that wrong, or you have something to add to this conversation, or have your own question, you can do that. talktothecore@gmail.com. That's talktothecore@gmail.com. And that, ladies and gentlemen, represents kind of the last thing we're doing today. We're going to go now. Before we do, though, a quick reminder that the show is funded by your good graces over at patreon.com/core show. And it's been growing and doing great, and we love it, and we really appreciate it. I'm going to start mentioning your names on here. So if you want to get your name read, ooh, that'd be cool. We might do that on the very next episode. Let's find out. But there's great stuff to get, and you can only get it there. So sign up and get bonus content every week at patreon.com/core show. Frogpants.com/core for everything else. We should see if either of you have anything wise to say at the end of the show. So let's start with John.
Oh,
John,
shit.
Anything you want to share with the fine folks before we go here?
I'm more of an Evan pudding man.
It's not bad. That's good. You're on topic, and I like pudding, except for the skin that hardens after a while if you don't eat it right away. Bo,
But you can just peel it off. Just throw it in the trash.
There you go. Bo, anything you'd like to add?
Not so much this week. I just wish everyone a great week and hope they enjoy the games that they're playing this week.
He has nothing to add, but he's got a ukulele in his hand.
Yeah, you could add. Let's play a thing. Play a little tune.
I'm just holding on to it.
Just play a little tune. Play a little, I don't know, anything. Just something.
Nah.
Play our theme. Our theme. You do our theme.
I can't play our theme. I played the theme on a guitar. It's a ukulele.
No.
I don't know the arrangement.
Well, it shows what I know. I always think that stuff's interchangeable. All right. Well, this is phase 3 Bo. By the way, this is we were talking
phase
earlier.
3 Bo.
This is phase 3 Bo. We had phase 1, super jazz, ready to rock at the beginning of the show. Phase 2.
I hit phase 3 anyway, even though I was up really late. It's like I have a pattern now.
Yeah, you just have a phase, and it's fine. We love it. That's it for the show. Thank you all for being here, and please, please come back next time for even more of this nonsense. We'll see you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Where's your thing?
I have the chef.
No, that's fine. That'll work. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. I found it.
There.